Hello, everybody. Welcome into my latest live broadcast. Today is the 2nd of August. Is that right? We're in the 2nd of August, 2021. My name is Kerry Holzman, and thanks you guys so much for tuning in. Got a pretty interesting show to get to, and yeah, we're going to jump to that here in just a moment. I have been running around like a madman and trying to do 8 million things at the same time, and I'm still sweaty. But I'm here now. So thank you for being here as well. Hello to all my friends in blue. And let's just take a quick look here at what I've been missing in the chat room. Robert Malovich with a $5 contribution says, keep up the good work, Kerry. Hey, thank you, Robert. Chris Garrett, happy birthday to Chris Garrett. And we're going to scroll through here real quick. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Scroll, scroll, scroll your mouse gently down the chat. Merrily, 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 merrily. Haters gonna splat. Here's Bob Connors with a $10 contribution. He says, here's a bribe for you to start on time. Unfortunately, I had to run an errand and there was a hiccup in the errand. And as a result, what was a short errand became much longer, and that's why I had to start a little later. But I better make sure that I silence my phone so we don't get interrupted. Let's talk about today's show. In the chat room is Patrick Russo. And Patrick emailed me a couple weeks ago and said, when I try to install Windows 10, it skips asking me if I want what version I want, and it just goes right to the next stage. I said, well, that happens when you put your product key in. The product key determines which version of Windows you get. Now you have to understand, for probably the vast majority of email questions like that I get, the response is, oh. But in Patrick's case, he's like, no, I already know this. I'm not putting a product key in. I said, well, then you're not making your media correctly. Follow my video. He said, no, I did follow your video. I said, Patrick, man, I've never heard of such a thing. I'd have to see it. And then I figured, well, that's not going to happen. So Patrick ends up updating the BIOS on this board. It still doesn't, he can't get Windows Pro. He can install Windows 10 Home and then he can upgrade it to Pro, but he can't get the option to install Pro on it. Now, I've never heard of such a problem. Doesn't make any sense to me. I have to see it. He says, so Patrick says to me, I've purchased a new board and installed Windows 10 Pro on it using all the same stuff, and it all worked exactly like it should. Now, I could return this board, it's still new, but I think I'd rather send it to you because I think it would make an interesting video. So you guys can thank Patrick Russo on today's channel for sending this to me. And in the box, he sent me something he didn't tell me he was going to send me. And I have it over here. Now, I'm a big fan of 1980s, especially with computers. That's when I first got into computers, was in the 1980s. And so in the box, Patrick says, he's got a little note on here. He says, since you're reliving your teenage years, shall we play a game? Of course, that's a reference to Matthew Broderick in the movie War Games. And what this is an old Digital Equipment Corporation acoustic modem from back in the day. So you take your telephone handset, you stick it down on there, but you'd have to hold it to your ear, wait for the phone to answer, and it would sound like a fax machine. And when you heard the fax machine, well, obviously you have to have the power on. You'd flip that switch up for power, and then you would hit, I don't know, I guess that's it. There's a full and half duplex mode here. This was probably, I'm going to guess 300 baud. The acoustic modem that Matthew Broderick uses in War Games, I think, was a 1200 baud. Now these, I did use Radio Shack's version of an acoustic modem back in the day. You look at even the cord is old school. That's some old school stuff. And it smells like Band-Aids. Why does it smell like Band-Aids, Patrick? Anyway, when I have the back of my studio set designed, this is going to be included in it because this is a wonderful piece of history. And here's the back of it. You can see the date, 1983. When it was in the package, there was a screw in the box, and one of these screws had fallen out, so I just tightened it back up. The rubber feet are still on it. They just don't make them like they used to. Yeah, and it's in amazingly good shape. This was back in the day when they used to spell quality with a Q instead of with a K. All right, I'll set that down here for now. But thanks, Patrick. That was really nice of you to send that. And thanks for sending your board. I've had, people say, why don't you show more repairs on your, we like watching the diagnostics and repairs. Why don't you show more repairs? So I don't have any. Send me something to repair. One guy says, out of all those computers you've got, I don't believe for 1 minute that none of them have a problem. I don't care what you believe. I mean, if one of those had a problem and I make videos for a living, what exactly am I thinking to not put it up on the bench and make money from showing you how to fix it? I've never seen a computer problem I cannot fix. Every computer problem is fixable, guaranteed. But sometimes the cost of the repair is more than the value of the system. That's pretty much the only time we don't repair them. But it's not because it can't be. This idea that I must have, out of all the systems I've got here, there must be a few of them that have problems. None of them have problems, not a one. So let's read the letter that Patrick included with the board, and then we'll get started on this. He says, hello, Uncle Kerry. Here's the motherboard I'm having issues with regarding the PC boot USB media. I tried the Windows boot media on another PC, and it was no issues. It gave me the options of versions I wanted to install. Now this board, it boots up normal, but after I agreed to the end user license agreement, it does not give me the window to put in a license key, nor is there an option to click I don't have one. Well, obviously, because that's on the same screen. It simply goes right to the window that asks if I want to upgrade or do a custom install, and of course I choose custom. It does the normal installation process, and when it's done, I check the version of Windows, and it's home, Windows 10 home. Now, you did suggest it could be a BIOS issue, so I tried updating the BIOS. No luck using the QFlash option with the updated BIOS file on USB EFAT, I think he means exFAT, and with FAT configuration. No luck. So I tried using Gigabyte's Windows BIOS utility, and no luck either. Ooh, so he did not update the BIOS. He says, now I bought this motherboard from Newegg's eBay store, and it cost $60. I was still under the return period, but I figured this would make a great video. This was my intended build, a Gigabyte B365M DS3H Wi-Fi 1151 socket 300 series micro ATX board using a Core i5 9600K CPU, which is a 6-core CPU that turbos to 4.6. 32 gigs of DDR4 3600 RAM, a Samsung 980 M.2 NVMe 1 terabyte SSD, and an EVGA 710 watt bronze power supply, cooling it all down with a Scythe Mugen 5, which is way overkill for that Core i5. I bet that thing runs nice and chilly. He says, I did not give it a chance to see if Windows was activated, so I was puzzled why I could not choose which version of Windows I wanted to install. So other than not being able to update the BIOS, the boot media issue, other than not being able to update the BIOS and the boot media issue, this motherboard works fine. I was able to get Windows 10 Pro from cloning it from another drive. Please keep the motherboard and use it in a giveaway if you think it's worthy. Sincerely, Patrick Rusaw. All right, so there's this well thought out letter. I appreciate it, from Patrick. And I just read it word for word. So yes, if you want to see more repairs, you got to talk to me about something you got that needs repair. And if it's something I can help you with, I can instruct you on how to get it to me. I'm not interested in fixing things that were running Windows 98 or Windows Millennium or Windows Vista or Windows 7. I'm only interested in current machines running Windows 10 or, having difficulty therein. But I'm not going to put Windows 7 on a modern computer. It's obsolete and it's dangerous to connect yourself to the internet. And well, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm also not going to condone it or help you to potentially harm yourself. That's your business. If I scroll up, let's see. Jamie McGregor contributes 10 pounds. He says, it sounds like the Windows 10 installer is picking up a home license on the board's EFI. I've had the same issue with an X570 board, and I had to add ei.cfg in the sources folder. That's my guess anyway. Awesome content. I was thinking the exact same thing, Jamie, but you should be able to just remove the serial key from the BIOS. It's unusual for anybody to do that other than system integrators like Dell and HP, the mass manufacturers and laptops. Those often have the BIOS, the product keys for Windows embedded into the BIOS. They're embedded keys. On a home system where that option may exist, you can also remove it. You can't remove it as far as I know on the Dells and HPs, but I really don't know because I don't do much with that anymore. But again, if you have a Dell or HP that's not working right, that's a Windows 10 machine, and you'd like to see it diagnosed and repaired here, send me an email, explain what the problem is, let me know. How old is this computer? When did this problem start? Is it a desktop? Is it a laptop? And we'll talk, right? Just email me. You can hit the About here on YouTube. Over above my channel, it says About. And then you can find my business email address there to reach out to me. I'm also excited to announce that I started last night. For the very first time, August 1st, I told you there was something big coming up. I am broadcasting new content live at Amazon Live. Amazon has a YouTube-like channel. And I've always had my shop on Amazon. I tell you everything that you see, I buy from Amazon. I tell you guys when I find deals for you, I make sure that the products are good and the seller is good. And I also tell you I buy almost all my stuff from Amazon and encourage, if you want to support the show, Amazon gift cards, because PayPal and YouTube all take cuts of the money. Amazon doesn't take any cut of the money. And quite frankly, I'm probably going to spend it at Amazon since that's where the majority of this stuff comes from. So Amazon reached out to me and said, well, what would you think about doing some live videos for us? And I said, yes, please. It's very different from doing YouTube videos. The haters don't seem to exist, at least not as badly. And when I am promoting something I'm purchasing from Amazon, doesn't it make sense to promote it to Amazon customers, right? Because if you're watching Amazon Live, you're probably already an Amazon customer. So if you'd like to help me out, in the notes below this video, there's a link to my Amazon page. And you'll notice there's a button on that page that says follow. So if you click the follow button, then you can be alerted to each time I go live or post new content. Actually, I don't think I post new content. I think I can only go live. And it's a little rickety right now. I'm sort of just getting started. So like I say, the process is quite different to do Amazon. And integrating all of my equipment into Amazon's front end or I guess it's a back end. It's unfamiliar to me. So I did my very first live stream late last night just to test everything out. And you can watch the replay of it using that link that I just provided in the video notes. But yeah, if you want to help me out, please go over there, hit that follow button. I need to get over 2,000 followers ASAP to impress Amazon, whatever. But it's a much friendlier chat room. You guys see what we deal with here in the chat because YouTube's account creation requirements are so loose, they're fast and loose, and YouTube doesn't do a whole lot to enforce those rules. Amazon is much more strict. There are still some people that are spam bots and stuff like that that come in from time to time, but it's nothing at all like the nastiness we've seen here on YouTube. So I'm not going to give up on YouTube. I'm not going anywhere. But in addition to YouTube, I will also be doing Amazon Live videos. And there will probably be occasions where I do them simultaneously. But if you had a choice, I'm telling you, Amazon Live is the place to watch it. It's just a much friendlier atmosphere. And when I talk about, like if I say I'm going to use this RAM, I can put a picture of the RAM underneath my video that you can click on. It takes you right to that page. So some people, depending on what you're watching me on, you might not see the video notes. Some people to this day don't know what show notes are. He keeps talking about show notes. I don't know what he's talking about because they're watching me on a TV or something. So with Amazon Live, the video doesn't encompass the whole screen. Instead, you've got a chat room, you've got a smaller video, and then below that you have what's called a product carousel. And the idea is that anything I have in front of me, this Lazy Susan, product carousel, right? There's a picture of it below my video, and that whole area scrolls left and right so I can, heat sink, battery, CPU, this mouse and keyboard, everything that I buy from Amazon. And as I'm talking about it on the video, the idea is that all those links will be right there and they automatically give me a commission if you make a purchase. And you're not paying any more for it, but you're also not having to look through video notes or find the right link. You just click the picture that matches. So I think it's perfect for me. Since I do buy so much from Amazon, I know Amazon's a reputable seller, good customer service, best customer service of any company. And I'm really looking forward to what the future holds for that. I had 3 viewers last night. 3. You know what it's like broadcasting to 3 viewers? It's very relaxing. Because they're not going to beat you up if you misspeak or you make a simple mistake. There's only 3 people there. So there's so much more freedom that kind of goes away. The bigger and more popular you get, the more people start, they can get overwhelming. I mean, not you guys are great. But, sometimes after the videos, there's some nasty comments I've got to remove. Just pointless nastiness that doesn't serve any purpose or make any positive impact to making anything any better. It's just noise. So I got to remove all the noise. And in Amazon, I don't get any noise at all. So I hope you'll follow me so you can be made aware every time I go live there. And then hopefully I'll work out some kind of a schedule. But it's definitely less chaotic and more intimate because it's so small. So if you'd like more personal attention from me, you're going to get it at Amazon because there's fewer people watching. And even me telling you this, most of you aren't going to go. So I know for those of you who do, your reward is going to be more personal one-on-one time with me because I'm still interacting just like this with the chat room. All right. Mountain Bike Kid said he followed me. Thank you. I hope you will follow. Dorado says followed you. Thank you. Mortmont said I'm already following you. James says he's already following me. Thank you guys. I appreciate that very much. I just have a 2,000 follower milestone. After that, I don't think there's any more, but I don't know. I'll find out. Who knows? But thank you. Hyper Twitch with a $5 contribution. He says, decided to stop into the stream and say, sorry for the hiccup in that errand. It was my own fault. It's technology, but, like all errant technology problems, I beat them down and I win. It might take me a month or 4 years, but in the end, I will be the last man standing. Every machine will fall in line and obey as it should. Technology is my slave. I will never be a slave to the technology. Oh, my phone beeped. Oh, I better go and check and stop everything I'm doing right now. Like somebody just rang a bell. What? No, I'm not my phone's servant. I don't go, oh no, I better hurry up and get get to bed before my air conditioner turns off on its own on the schedule. No. I'll push the little button on the air conditioner. It's not real hard, and I don't have to worry about it getting hacked. No, I'm not putting Alexa or listening devices in my house like Google Echo. No, I don't trust it one bit. I'm a control freak, and I love technology, but not just for the sake of technology. It's got to serve me. The minute I start serving it, it's out of here. The best feature I ever learned how to enable on my cell phone is do not disturb. It's the most wonderful freedom you will ever experience. You're welcome to check your phone by hand every 10 minutes if you're neurotic. But at least it's not binging and you're responding like some kind of a poor servant. Yes, master, you rang. Oh, this is a really important message. This one's going to change my life. This is probably really important. I better stop what I'm doing. I better look down and away from the road at 70 miles an hour and run right into some people on the sidewalk. That's worth it. So yes, I am a fan of technology when technology helps us, but not blindly. Eric Hildebrand with a $5 contribution says, I'm eagerly waiting for the Ron Hillier live show debut. I've learned a lot from you both. Good luck on Amazon. Yeah, I'd love to get Ron over here. We'll have to work that out. Absolutely. I'll put Ron to work. Let's make sure Eric is blue in here. Let's get you into the blue group. Thanks, Eric. Channel Zero with a $10 Australian contribution says, you use stickers to make your computer faster? Well, yeah. What do you think stickers do? It says, I'm really going to make my computer faster. I'm going to paint it red. Have you ever seen a car race? And in any car race, when the race was over, did you notice that every car that comes in first place on every single car race that's aired on television has stickers on it? And since we live in a society now where we no longer use education and science, but we just use our imagination and our feelings, clearly it's the stickers that make the car go faster. This has been a long time belief. You look back in the 1950s, they painted flames on the side of their Chevy Bel Airs. Why do you think they did that? It makes the car go faster. And this is not true. Richard Angeline contributes $5. He goes, the first time I've ever heard of Amazon Live. Thanks. Yeah, I think a lot of you probably don't even know it exists. And it's been around, geez, I think about a year and a half. And it's something you can't really apply for, I don't think. They have to come to you. So I feel lucky that I'm getting in early where there's not a lot of competitors. And I'm in the electronics section. I'm not in the gaming section. And there's a lot of products there I really believe in, and I'll make short review videos for those products. And then what Amazon will do is when anybody looks at those products and they scroll down to look at the reviews, they'll see my video review I did of it. And hopefully they go, hey, I like that guy. What else has he done? And then they subscribe to me on YouTube or follow me on Amazon. So that should cause, this has the potential to cause some explosive growth opportunity for me if I don't screw it up. So place your bets. There's Niles Van de Sand with a €2 contribution. He says, I'm following you at Amazon Live now. Hey, right on. Thank you, Niles. I appreciate it. Thanks for your support. So, shall we get started? Oh, missed one. Everado with $4.99. Thank you, Everado. Let's make sure Niles is blue in there. You got it, Niles. And Richard, thank you again. Okay, let's see what Patrick sent. We got an I/O shield. We've got paddles, Wi-Fi antennas. These are Wi-Fi antennas. We have bubble wrap. It's the good kind with the big bubbles, not the little bubbles. Aw. It's like sending me a box of chocolates and you ate half of them. Most of these are already popped. 20 minutes later. All right. Joshua Robinson contributes 10 bucks. Hey, Joshua, thank you. Craig Lilly says, can we get Carrie Holzman Prime and Amazon Prime? Maybe someday I can achieve Prime status. Chris Garrett says, Carrie, one day I was leaving to go get lunch. I told my mother I was going to get Mexican. When I got in the car, iPhone Maps alerted me of the closest Mexican restaurant. Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't listening to you at all, and it was probably just a coincidence. I mean, really, that's kind of convenient, though, don't you think? Good thing you didn't talk about murdering anybody. It might have pointed you to the nearest hardware store. Because it's murder. It's funny. All right. Not even funny. Don't do that. Probably some violation of some Amazon rule. I don't know. So let's take a look at what I've got going on here. There is different camera angle I'll try. It's a little micro ATX board. Geez, is that how the Wi-Fi came? It's kind of exposed. It's kind of weird that they exposed that right there. You'd think that would be all metal. What do we have for outputs? Let's see. Just one HDMI output here. We've got two USB 2s, a PS2 port for a PS2 style keyboard or mouse. That's old school. USB 3, so we got 4 of those. Gigabit Ethernet, Wi-Fi, and just basic audio output, not surround or anything like that. The little screw for the M.2 is there. Thank you, Patrick, for making sure that was included. And I don't know, should I clear the BIOS before I do anything else, or should I just try and replicate the problem first? I guess I should probably just try and replicate the problem, huh? Hey, there's Tony Wallow in the chat with $4.99. Thank you, Tony. It's good to see you. Ed Schwartz says, I'm sorry, that's not what he said at all. He says, I'm having fun looking at the Carrie Holzman's Amazon equipment and tools that I use list. Lots of great products in there. Yeah. So every single tool that I use, whether it's a tool for streaming or a tool for fixing and repairing, from pliers to capture cards to tripods and cameras to zip ties and screwdrivers, including that Milwaukee M4 electric driver that I so adore. That's all in there. It's always been there this whole time. It's been there for at least 2 years, at least. So I'm glad you finally got to see it. Demi K, if I could say that without spitting right on you, has contributed 5 Canadian dollars. Is it Demi? Thank you, TK. I appreciate that. How do you get to Amazon Live? Carlos Hernandez wants to know. Just go to amazon.com/live. Then you'll see all of the content that's upcoming and running right now, 24/7, amazon.com/live. If you want to watch me, then you will use the link in the video notes below this video, which is effectively just going to amazon.com/shop/Carrie Holzman is one word. And that's going to take you to my Amazon shop where you will find my past broadcasts. Any current broadcasts, you can click the follow button there. I hope you will. And I hope I'll see you over there on a separate broadcast. There's Russ Martin, the PC doctor. He contributes 10 bucks. He says, Carrie, I bought a 6-year-old Dell Latitude laptop from Amazon Warehouse, and it is solid. 400 bucks. I put some tech touches on it, and it's a great little work laptop. Yeah, I'm telling you, those Amazon Warehouse deals, real bargains and peace of mind, no risk. Obviously, I've been saying this before I got to go to Amazon Live. So this is a match made in heaven. I was already shilling for Amazon anyway. Now they'll pay me. It's true. I love Amazon. I love. You know what? My Amazon account was created in 1998. I was buying books from Amazon in 1998. That's how long I've been a fan of Amazon. So let that stick in your head and think about that for a while. When you look at my account status, it should show, I don't know if it shows it, but it shows it for me, that my account was created in 1998. Corey wants to know, what 1 terabyte NVMe drive do you recommend in the $100 to $120 price point? Very easy. The Intel 660p or 665p, whichever one's cheaper. They're more or less, they're identical enough that doesn't make a difference. And you'll see me using a ton of those, and it's for that reason. I have kind of a $100 hard limit on a 1 terabyte NVMe, but lately the prices have gone up a little bit. So I'll go to 110. And if you sign up for places like slickdeals.net, you can put yourself on an email list to be alerted anytime there are sales, and you can just check what categories you want. So sometimes, like I picked up a couple of Samsung 980 1 terabyte drives for $99. Yeah, they were cheaper than the Intel drive. So if you watch for the sales, if you're patient, you can save about $10. Otherwise, yeah, it's $10, you know. Bill says you are not on Amazon.co.uk, but I suppose you know that. Unfortunately, there's some legal hurdles to get over with regards to broadcasting worldwide. I guess not worldwide, but to monetize in the UK and France and Canada and Australia and India, these things all each have their own governmental requirements. And so when I would put a link below the video in the product carousel and you were to click on it in the UK or anywhere outside of the US, there would be potential legal ramifications to me profiting from that. So as of right now, the only way that you can watch me is you go to Amazon. You have to go to my product page at Amazon.com. I don't have a product page at any other country's Amazon at this time. But remember, this is still growing and evolving. This is going to get much bigger, and Amazon's going to expand it more and give their creators more controls. The controls right now are very, very restricted. They're taking their time and they're not rushing. So I feel very, very lucky to be invited in this early, so that will help me develop an audience before there's too much competition. I mean, I'm not the first. There's plenty of people that have been doing it in the, building computers and stuff. But I'm just happy to be in it this early. I wasn't the first customer of Amazon either. 1998, they already had hundreds of thousands of customers, probably millions. But it's nothing like it is today. So I'll expect more of the same with this as well as time goes on. Frankie B with a $50 contribution says, here's a little something. Just hit the follow button. He just hit the follow button at Amazon. Thank you, Frankie. Thank you for the contribution. Thanks for following me at the Amazon live page. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Patrick Gursaw said, Newegg has the Samsung 1 terabyte for $109 to $119. Depends on which Samsung. I honestly, the Intel or the Samsung, depends which model. The Intel's not the fastest drive, but I never found anybody that can really notice a difference between 1,500 and 3,000 megabytes a second, other than when they run benchmarks. Your Windows boot time is going to be within milliseconds either way. Anything you load, unless you're loading something ginormous, it's milliseconds. Your human brain just can't really notice it. That's not to say nobody would notice it, but the vast majority of regular everyday computer users cannot tell the difference. So if it's important to you, buy the one that you think you'll be happiest with. You can't go wrong with Samsung. You can't go wrong with Intel. I've also used ADATA, their XPG line. I've used some from Team Group. I've used them from Inland, was it Inland Micro, Sabrent, yeah. But if you watch my channel, right, I'm telling you all those are good, you'll notice there's two I use more than any other. And I use the Samsung drives when the customer wants performance and to spend an extra few dollars is they don't mind it. But then you also see me use the Intel drives for a lot of customers who are just going to be blown away by the performance. They're not going to know the difference between a Samsung and an Intel because that's their first NVMe drive. So no matter how fast it is, it's going to be fast to them because they don't have anything to compare it to other than their old computer. And even the slowest NVMe drives smoke any SATA-based storage, especially mechanical. They're just going to fall out of their chair. So if it's that, or if it's a high-performance Samsung, or, you know what, Mushkin makes good drives too, Corsair, also, was it Corsair, Crucial? They're all pretty decent. I just stay away from manufacturers I've never heard of before, just for warranty purposes. You know, how's that going to happen? Speaking of which, did you guys hear my stomach? No. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of what's coming up Friday. Mitch is back, and we're going to continue that monster beast of a build. And because the contributions on Friday were so generous, the Amazon gift cards weren't quite enough to pay for this. However, I could not find one used. I want you to take a look at what I'm holding in my hand. That's an 8 terabyte gumstick NVMe drive that runs at 3,300 and 3,000 on the reads and writes. And they package it like it's just going to hang on the shelf as an impulse item. You know, at least Sabrent, you know, you get this nice metal tin to sort of make your whole. But the Sabrent drive is $1,399 or $1,299. This one was $1,029, and there was one a little bit cheaper, but it wasn't going to ship for 1 to 2 months, and it was only $30 less. So this one was the next price up, $30 more. It was like $1,000, whatever it was $30 more, and it was available for next day shipping for free. I was just surprised how cheaply they packaged that. Now, my goal is to put 2 of these in that beast of a computer, and also to double the RAM to 256 gigs. So we're going to max this thing out like you've never seen before. And you guys are probably going to wonder, no, wait a minute, didn't you just install Windows 10 and do all the drivers and all the updates on the beast? You're going to do that all over again? Nope. So you're not going to boot from the new drive? Oh, no, I'm booting from this drive. But you're not starting over. Nope. Well, you must be going to use a Cronus. Nope. How are you going to do that? You need to tune in Friday at 1 o'clock to find out. Because it's going to blow your mind. Unless it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, then forget I said anything. So let me just put that back in the vault. But yeah, that NVMe drive that's in it now, that's coming out. Some people have said, hey, you know, your temperatures were really cool, probably because the CPU wasn't running at full voltage. I don't care. We're not at that stage yet. Some people said, oh gosh, what else are they talking about? Everybody that made comments that were critical to what I was doing aren't getting what we're doing. Somebody said, you know, that Noctua air cooler will probably run better than the liquid cooler you're putting in it. Okay, I don't know why you think I care. We're not building a racehorse. We're building a show horse. You understand? This is a very impractical build. If I wanted to build something fast, I wouldn't be putting 10 120 millimeter RGB fans on a 3-sided glass panel $570 case. So I'm not interested in how fast it can go. And I'm not interested in how cool one cooler is over another one. I'm interested in which one matches the looks of the case so that when people look at it, they have to pick their jaw up off the floor. There aren't many people that are going to sit down at it and actually experience the performance, which, by the way, is probably faster than anything you've ever touched when it's in its slowest mode. So the assumptions that some of you are making online and then further correcting me, they're kind of offensive. I don't mind if you want to ask me a question like, hey, is your plan to do this for looks or is your plan to do this for performance? My number one plan is to do this for looks. My secondary plan is to do this for specs. 2 8TB NVMe drives. Something to brag about. Do I need them? Nope. Why are you doing it? Because I can. You see, once I build this machine, well, once me and Mitch build the machine, Mitch and I, there'll be nothing I can build bigger than that. At that point, we get into servers. So that checks off my bucket list, right? I've filled up every RAM socket. I have filled every M.2 slot. Now I realize it's got that little M2 card that fits 2 more M.2s. I'm probably going to fill it. It also takes a little micro ATX board and a small form factor power supply, and you can run 2 motherboards. Yeah, we're going to do that too. And I'm going to turn this into a series of videos as it's already become. And then once it's done, if I ever ask myself, how can I top that? The answer is you're going to have to wait until technology bumps up to the next level, which is going to be a few years. So once this is done, there won't be another one like it because there won't be any way to outdo it worthwhile. Maybe there's a faster CPU. So what? It's still the same X299 chipset. So we're going to need a different chipset. We're going to need maybe DDR5, maybe a 16 terabyte NVMe. It's going to be a couple years for me to outdo this. But the point of it is that you look at it and your jaw goes, oh, could I buy a better liquid cooler? Absolutely I could. But it's not going to look as good as if I match it with the Corsair cooler. The Noctua cooler might even cool better, but it looks terrible. So we're losing the aesthetic and the whole point of this. So it's pretty interesting to me that people, they ask what, but they don't ask why. And I would really love to see a change in the culture where people stop assuming. Stop assuming I want the best cooler in the sense of what cools better. I want the best cooler in the sense of what looks best. You might want the best cooler as for what price it is. These are all best coolers. Do you understand? Neither, if you have the best cooler at the best price or the best cooler at the best cooling or the best cooler that's going to look the best, these are all the best. There's no one best. So when you just made an assumption about your best, why didn't you ask me what my best was? And for that matter, why would you do that to anybody? You see what I'm doing? I'm asking you why. Try that sometime. See if it turns out a little better for you. All right, let's get a processor in here, and I want to show you my latest little invention. Let's bring this up and go back to camera, whatever camera. Oh, that's not a camera. That's not a camera at all. That's a camera. All right, let's flip that up. Let me show you something. I got these used return processors at Amazon, and I've already tested them all, and they all work. In fact, yesterday on Amazon Live, I had 4 of them. Now I'm down to 3 because I was testing a motherboard with one. And they're 8700s, and they think 9700K. I'm not sure which is which. They're 8th gen and 9th gen, and they all work in this board right here. So I'll use one of the 8700s because I have a lot of those. That's this one right here. And we'll put the other 2 away. But when I was testing these, I was really running into an issue that I want to demonstrate for you. When I take this out, when I take the CPU out like this, and I go to set it in the socket, ooh, oh, we got a bent pin here. We have several bent pins in the socket. Let me just show you something. We'll get back to that in a minute. When I set this down, okay, like I just did, how do you get it out? It's really hard to get these out. How do you guys do it? So I was taking On that H370 performance board from ASRock, I was taking the chip out and it was slipping from my fingers, and I tried to move it away from the socket. It fell and it hit the socket and it bent one of the pins, and I was so mad at myself. So I went on Amazon and I bought these little tiny suction cups. They're like $6.99. And I said, I wonder if these little suction cups are going to work. So here's what you do, is you would have this lid closed, let's just say. Let's just close the lid. Because when you put the suction cup on, assuming it's going to stick, we don't want to move the CPU around in the socket. So while the lid's closed, I'm going to push the suction cup down. Then I can lift this up, and I should be able to pick the CPU up. Ah, it works. Look at me go. I've invented a tool. Well, now to get the suction cup off, just slide it. It just comes right off. Little tiny suction cup. And now I have an installation and removal tool. And I have, I don't know, 20 of them for $6.99. You know what's great about growing up in the 80s is you had to figure stuff like this out on your own. You had to think outside of the box and provide your own solutions where there were none or they were too expensive. But I could not find an Intel CPU removal tool. Well, there you go. I found one. Come on, that's freaking genius. Do you want a link to it? Let me see if I can pull a link up here for you. Give me a minute. We'll go to Amazon and we'll look up, what are they called? Chapenti? Okay. Amazon. Search. Here they are. Oh gosh darn it, I can't make a link out of this. Rats. Give me a moment here, guys. Bear with me, bear with. I'm going to create the link for you. I got all this security I got to get through. Okay, security good, good. Let me make a link. Made. Let's post the link in the chat. There you go. And I'll be sure and add it to the video notes. In fact, maybe I should just do that now, because you know me, I'm going to forget. Let's take that, copy it, edit the video information, and we'll put it, oh gosh. All right, there's all the links for the software. We'll put it down below. See, just came up with that all on my own. So when you see other people do it on YouTube, you know they stole it from me. But that means we know who's leading and we know who's following. So I don't have a problem with it. Okay, video notes are updated. My thanks for your patience while I did that. So that way you guys, you can order these. They're very, very inexpensive. We're looking at, gosh, $5.79 right now on Amazon in the US. You get 20 of them in the bag or in the box. So it should last you a while. Even help out a few friends if you want to. So check that out. Works perfectly. Now, let me show you this socket on this motherboard and what has me concerned. Let's see. Let me go to this feed over here. And let me make it full screen so I can see it. Full screen, full screen, full screen. There it is. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk this over. I'm going to walk this. Notice how I hold the motherboard, always by the edges. And I'm going to just come over here to this camera. Ooh, severe close-up. Let's take a look at that socket. When a pin is bent, it should stand out pretty obviously. Look in the bottom left corner of your screen and look for one thing that is not in line like all the other soldiers. Then look, if I can hold the board, okay, up is down and down is up. Got it. Look at the bottom. Bottom left, look at the bottom of the socket, about 3/4 of the way to the right in the middle, and then in the middle, about 4 rows from the edge towards the right side. There's at least 3 bent pins that stick out pretty painfully. Can you see them? The one down on that bottom left corner is the other ones aren't that out of whack from what I can tell, but that would pretty well cause a pretty significant problem. Now, straightening these pins requires a very steady hand. It's going to require a magnifying glass. It's going to require a special pointy tool. And let's see. Let's take a look here. We'll go to a wider camera. And I need a magnifying glass. So magnifying glass, and this isn't strong enough for me. I also need glasses. I need my glasses. And I need a dental pick tool. Now I also buy these dental pick tools on Amazon, or you can pick them up. Sometimes you can pick them up at Harbor Freight Tools. I like using this little one with a hook on it. They're called probing tools. They're not actually called dental picks. They're called probing tools. And they're usually in a kit with different shapes. It's very pointy and sharp. And if you so much as pull on it too much, you may completely break the little pin and it's game over. So you got to have a very steady hand. You've got to go very slow. And you better make sure you can see very clearly what it is you're doing. And so I cannot put this on an angle for you that reduces anything I do that's not perfectly in my vision is dangerous. So my view has to come first. I'm sorry. And I'm just gently nudging that one pin, just trying to nudge it. Now, if I have a little jerking reflex or sneeze or something, I'm going to make it worse. So just, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to be underneath the landing zone area of the gold landing of the bottom of the CPU. So it's just got to make contact with it. Boy, that is significantly bent. Significant. This is an extraordinarily delicate procedure. If you're impatient or you use too much force, it's done. It's no longer a warranty issue now. This is user error. This is not the manufacturer's fault the user bent their pins. Therefore, it's not a warranty issue. The board will be returned to you unrepaired. They'll say, thank you, please play again. I'm moving it, but it doesn't want to stay. But if I move it too hard, I'll push it too far the other way. And I'm a poet, and I didn't even know it. I'm also trying not to touch any of the other pins around it. It's very, very delicate. It's a little better. Let me see what's going on over here. If it's anything too severe. If it's just a little out of whack, I'm not worried about it. And you've got to change the angle of your view. Yeah, I see one right here. Uh-oh, that one looks broken. Where's the rest of it? Uh-oh, Patrick. It appears you've busted one clean off. Oh boy. That's not repairable. You just did not, I'm sorry, Patrick, but you did not handle this. Let me rephrase. Patrick said he bought it from Newegg's eBay page. So Patrick may not have been the one who did this. If this was a returned product that Newegg was reselling, this should have gone back to Newegg. The cost of this socket and replacing it is more than the price that you paid for this motherboard. Unless you have all the tools and skills to do it yourself and access to getting the sockets. In which case, why aren't you making a ton of money doing electronics repairs? That one's pretty bad. I don't know that that's salvageable. Yeah. All the other ones that I see that have a little bend on them, they're not bent enough to cause me any concern or stress. The socket's in pretty bad shape. This one right here is the most concerning. It looks completely busted off. Poking at it to see if maybe it got folded under. It's got a little tiny leg, and either the leg has been busted off or the leg is bent up against it so hard that I can't even see it. So I'm remaining hopeful. I don't know. I don't know. It's riveting to watch, isn't it? Well, let's see what it'll do. Let's just drop the chip in there and give her a spin. Drop the chip right there. Close the socket. We'll set that aside. Drop some RAM in here. A little RAM for you. Clicky, clicky. A little RAM for you. Clicky, clicky. Now I know the RAM works, and I know the CPU works, and I know this power supply I'm about to grab works. I know this little power switch here works. We'll hook that up here to the power connector so we can turn it on and off. It's probably a good thing to be able to do. And then I need to give it some juice, some electricity. These are $40 on Amazon. These are the 500-watt white EVGA power supplies. I think these are a great value. It's not a sale price. That's a normal price. At least it is for today. So stock up on them. They don't go bad. Although your warranty does start ticking the day you buy it. They're so cheap, there's not even, who cares? They're so cheap, it's not even worth returning if it's out of, if you could return it to Amazon for free, that's one thing. But if you have to pay to ship it back, it's going to cost you about $25. A brand new one's $40, and you'll get the brand new one in 2 days. You'll have to wait 2 weeks to get your replacement under warranty back. So it's not even worth it. Now that Seasonic power supply I'm using on the big build, that thing's like $550. If that dies, it's going back to Seasonic. See the difference? See what I'm saying? Okay, let's see. Did I have this? I'm not going to put any thermal compound on here because we're just testing. But we will put the heatsink on it. Just a generic Intel heatsink and fan is going to do just fine for our purposes today. And we'll plug that in. And then I need a keyboard, a mouse, monitor. We should be able to fire this thing up and see what happens. That socket's in really, really rough shape. Those two pins are so bad. Like I thought the one I worked on first was bad until I saw the second one. Because the second one looks like only half the pin is still there. And I don't know if enough of it is there to make contact under the CPU. So my goal, what I was doing, is I was trying to push it over to make it more likely that, you know, I kind of have a picture in my head of what the bottom of that CPU looks like. In case you don't know, I'll show you real quick. This is the bottom of the CPU. And so each one of those gold dots has to align with each one of those little tiny pins I was showing you. So I kind of have an idea of where they're going to go based on where the other pins that surround it are how they're positioned. So you're going to look real closely at it. You can see all the detail in there. Okay. We got video going. Yeah, video's hooked up. I need the keyboard and mouse. I've got that over here. Just bring that over to this side. We grab the dongle out of here. And this little Wi-Fi USB dongle works for both the keyboard and mouse at the same time. So I only have one thing to plug in. And I think that's all we should need, right? Let's turn it on and see what it does. So what I'll do, you know what? This had a little rubber cap that went on the end of it so it doesn't poke you. And it must have fallen or something. I'm going to leave that up here. I hope I'm done with it. But I need that little... I would like to have my little rubber cap back wherever it went so I could put it back in the drawer. And when I reach in the drawer, I don't want it to stab me. It's funny that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself, I don't know, let's go right up in the corner here like this. And then let's turn this box on. So we'll flip power switch on. I'll hit the power here. I see the fan kicked a little bit. It's trying to start. There's no lights on this board to indicate. Oh, there it goes. Fan is spinning. And then let's see if we get to BIOS screen. Let's at least see that. This could take up to 2 minutes on the first boot, so you've got to be patient. Don't assume anything's wrong yet. The fan has settled down and it's still running, which tells me it's initialized and it's moving forward, generally speaking, in the initiation process. But I'm making an assumption here. But it's a good sign that this would be considered normal and a sign of things to come. Did I also plug my, I didn't turn on the HDMI input. Oopsie. Hold on, let me turn that on. Okay, there, that's what I needed. It needs to say no signal. Whoops. Okay, it's live, it's unscripted, it's real, and I just found my little rubber cap. I just found it so I can put that back on. So I don't poke myself later. There we go. Okay, so it may not have initiated properly without the input feed on. I don't know. So I'm going to flip it off, and then I'm going to turn it off. Then I'm going to turn it back on, and I hit the power button here. And let's see if it initiates the HDMI port now. So you got to pay attention. It's stuff's real easy. It's just those little details, real simple little details that if you're not paying attention, you could be difficult. So there again, the fan has sped up. Now it is slowed down. It's running at a nice level speed. And I would expect to see some sort of a post screen or something. Continue to be patient. I should have seen something by now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the power supply off again. I'm going to wait for the fan to stop spinning. I'm just going to pull one of these memory modules out. Just because. I only need one anyway. I don't really have to use two. Just want to see if that makes any difference here. So flip it back on again. And make sure my HDMI cable is plugged all the way in here. Let's make sure it's plugged in all the way back here into the capture card. Looks good. And see if we get any life out of this thing at all. I'm going to let it run here for a second. I'll look up in the chat room and see if I missed anything here. Hey, there we go. We get some life now. Let me go into the BIOS on this. Well, it's going to do that anyway. I have no idea what that says. It's a lot of words there. Let me go full screen on my side. The system has experienced a boot failure, possibly due to incorrect configuration. Blah, 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 blah. Load optimize defaults and then reboot. Enter. Okay, that's a good sign. Okay, that's good. Now we're in the BIOS. What BIOS version do we have? Oh, this is weird. Oh, model name is Y1. Gigabyte lists this board on their site as a B365M DS3H Wi-Fi Y1. Now, BIOS version of F1 is a little disconcerting. I don't like that one bit. I mean, that's basically the very first BIOS. Sometimes you can look in here for, where do they put that? Windows 8 or 10. Passwords, no. There doesn't seem to be anywhere to plug in any product keys or anything like that. There's your TPM module right there. You just turn it on or off. You don't have to buy one. Told you guys about that. How many times have I told you guys? Unless you have a really old, ancient system. And yes, if your system doesn't have that in the BIOS, it's considered old by computer terms. It's kind of like dog years. I don't see any issues here. I don't see any issues here. Oops, go back here. Advanced frequency settings or auto. Well, all this should be set to auto now. That's all good. The memory timings, voltage settings, PC health status is fine. There's miscellaneous settings. Yeah, there's nowhere to plug a product key in here. So let's hit save and exit. Like that. We'll let the machine reboot. We're off to a good start here. So far, everything seems pretty well normal. Now I'm going to need some storage so that we can try and install Windows 10. So let me go back to camera 1. And I'm going to just reach over and hit the power switch and shut this thing off, as you can see. And I should be able to then go full screen. It's not going to let me go full screen. Okay. How about now? Hey, I did it. I'm so smart. I'm going to flip the switch, make sure there's no power on the board while I do this. And I'm going to step over here to the inventory hut and pull out one of these $50 M.2 NVMe SSDs. This one is by Team Group. I'll be giving away so many computers to generous contributors that I needed a way to do it more affordably. And most new computers and laptops you buy are going to come with a 512 gig NVMe if they come with an NVMe. So why am I doing 1 terabyte on these giveaways? I can do twice as many when the price is half as much and the capacity is half as much and the performance is nearly identical. So, brand new in a package, $50. If they're more than $50, they do go on sale. Just, you know, if it's like $60 now, I wouldn't pay $60 for it. Put it on your wish list and watch it every day, and you'll see when the price comes back down. I bought 10 of them, so I should be good for a while. They wouldn't let me order any more than that. So yeah, you're wondering where your contributions and your support money goes? It goes right back into the channel. $500 worth of these, plus sales tax, another $50. Now, getting this out of the package is a royal pain in the butt. Kind of bothered how they kind of packaged these, made it so difficult. Check this out. Let's go to closer cam. There. All right, let's see if I can get this figured out here. It's got like a thing that you could tear here, which is good. Okay, won't tear in one clean tear, but that's fine. Then we should be able to split it open like that. And then we get the little plastic piece out of here, which is completely open on one side. Now here's what I'm afraid people are going to do, is they're going to bend this memory, the solid state, trying to get it out of this package. Please, 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 bend the package when you're taking RAM out, this is a really poorly packaged solid state drive. This is $50, and I have to bend on it. Oh God. Okay. Just give me one side. It's still holding it. It's still. Oh gosh. Oh, there. Finally, I get it. There it is. 512 gig. Let me get my black screwdriver, my JIS industrial standard, a Japanese standard. Very fine Phillips head screwdrivers, essentially what it is. But it's different enough. It seats so much better into the head of these little tiny screws that the M.2s require. So we just take out that screw. Always use a magnetic tip. This is not the 1980s anymore. Magnets are not dangerous to computers. Magnets were never dangerous to computers. Magnets were dangerous to floppy disks, zip drives, magnetic media, VHS tapes. See, we don't use that stuff anymore, and that's why magnets are okay. But they weren't always okay. That's why it's changed. See, the more you know. Now you can be a know-it-all with useless information. All right, here's my Windows 10 boot drive installation media. Let's plug that in right there. Are you on pins and needles, Patrick? What do you think's going to happen? Patrick's contributed $5. He says, when I was putting the plastic cover on the socket, it slipped a bit, but I didn't notice any damage. It's my mistake. I should have double checked it before I shipped it. Well, we don't know you caused it. The fact that you bought it off eBay, I mean, why was it on eBay? Was it a return product? All right, it's in the recycle bin, and I gotta get it out of my way. Packaging's horrible. Horrible packaging. Although that Inland Micro 8 terabyte NVMe is in horrible packaging for something that's over $1,000. Now it's your money. Okay, let's fire it up again and see what she does. Let me get this fired up. I gotta hit the switch. You gotta hit the switch, Carrie. Turn that on. Okay. We'll go back to the HDMI input, which I guess I could just minimize myself. Ooh, it came up much, much quicker. Now we still are on BIOS F1, and I do want to update the BIOS, but I also want to see this symptom that Patrick has described. because I've never seen anything like that, and I want to see if we can replicate it. Okay, so I'm just kind of curious. So I hope it will do it for me. I'll click next. I'll click install now. It's taking a long time. There we go. I accept the end user license agreement. I click next. I want custom. Oh, you're right. It has not asked me what version of Windows do I want, has it? That should have happened. So the good news is we're able to replicate Patrick's symptom. So because it's something I've never seen before, yeah, I'm a see it to believe it kind of guy. Well, more of a see it to understand it kind of guy. Because you deal with so many people online. Some people don't plug in their power cables in the right place, or they don't plug them in at all. And they'll always say, oh, I did everything exactly the way you say. I followed every step, and then they didn't. So when Patrick, I've never worked with Patrick before. I don't know. I mean, I've seen his name and we've talked, but I don't know his abilities or how many systems he's built. I don't really know much more than his name. So anyway, let's go back to full screen up here. So I treat everybody with the same skepticism until I get to know you and say, oh, well, if it's coming from you, I know you're, you know what I mean? So don't take it personally. It's just, there's so much of it. Anyway, let's go take a look at what the latest BIOS is here for, what did I say this was? H365M DS3H Wi-Fi BIOS. Okay. Can I grab a screenshot of this? Properties. Can I see this? You can see it, show me? Okay, it's gonna show me. Click on that. Okay, now you're with me, yeah? And I don't want the support up here. I want the support over here for the product. I want to go to the BIOS. There's only two? That's not a good sign. F1 and F2. All right. Is it F2 U2? Sorry. So one came out in 2019. This one came out in about nearly 1 year ago. Let's grab it. And let's extract it. I'm on the streaming computer. I'm doing this on a streaming computer. And I don't think it's capturing any of those screens for you, but I'm going to just run through this as quickly as I can. So bear with me here. All I'm doing is extracting the contents of the file and pulling the flash drive file. That's the file that ends in .f2d. It's also the largest file. That's the only one I need. So let's just grab that real quick, like copy, pasty. Probably shouldn't have said that. Okay. Don't mind me while I amuse myself. And let's turn that back off. And again, I want to remind you guys, I have started on Amazon Live. So if you're not aware of it, Amazon has videos just like YouTube with the chat room and everything, except the products that I show on video, I can add to the bottom of the video in what they call a product carousel. So the first link below this video is to my Amazon Live shop. So everything you see me use, all my tools, everything is there. It's always been there for years, only now it will also show any live videos that I've done in the past or any live videos that I'm doing currently over at Amazon. And there will be some Amazon exclusive content there. Please follow me. When you go to amazon.com/shop/Kerry Holzman, which is the link below in the video notes, you'll notice there's a follow button. Please click the follow button for me, and I hope I'll see you over there for that content. Now, let's try and update the BIOS. Now, Patrick said he couldn't update the BIOS, and now I believe him. Okay, so let's go ahead and remove the Windows 10 installation media, and let me plug in right over here. I've got my file for the flash, the latest version of the BIOS, and let's see if we can flash this thing. I'm scared now. Flip this back on. Turn it off here. Turn it on now. There it goes. Let's switch back over to that. Where am I? Okay, now we're back in the BIOS. HDMI input. I want to see this full screen on my side. Doesn't make any difference to you guys, okay? It's just for my... When I go full screen, I can't see the chat or anything else. Update. That's our file. Sometimes this happens because I'm impatient. Oh, that's interesting. This is telling us that this is not the right BIOS for this motherboard. Interesting. I may have selected the wrong BIOS. OEM ID mismatch. OEM ID. Well, let's take another look at that OEM ID. That's the first clue I've got so far. Remember, I noticed this BIOS, this F1Y1 thing, this customer code was different. I don't recall seeing this before. It's a BIOS date. OEM, where is that OEM information? It's none of that. It's none of that. Certainly don't need either one of those turned on either. Who uses serial and parallel ports anymore? Let's turn those off. What else? Sorry, I'm bouncing around here with the keyboard because there's a little delay. Okay, USB stack, yeah. Graphics, I don't know what this is. So I'm going to turn it off. It's probably something to do with the graphics on it. Power loading, blah, blah, blah. Render standby. I don't need that turned on. If I don't know what it is, I'm turning it off. Memory, PC health, smart fan. Why is the ID not matching? B365M DS3H Wi-Fi. Let me go back. Let's save and exit. Let me make sure I downloaded the right BIOS for this. It should boot automatically back into the BIOS again. And then when it does, I'm going to try one more time. I imagine it's going to give me the same error message. So we're going to come down here to QFlash, update BIOS. OEM ID mismatch. Okay, well now we know why. We just need to figure out. Christopher G said the BIOS just said it only supports Windows Home. Let's take another look at that. I didn't, where did you see that? Where did you see that? Let's go back to full screen. Let me look for that now. BIOS says it only supports Windows Home. Let's go back. We'll hit escape on the keyboard. I didn't see anything about that anywhere. I don't see anything about it only supporting Windows 10 Home in the BIOS. Are you referring to the BIOS download page, maybe? Words are hard. Let's take a look over at the BIOS download page again. And let's go back over to that screen capture so you guys can see it with me. Here we go. Improve DDR workaround memory. Adds NTFS support for QFlash. Why am I, somebody just messing with me, or are they serious? Let me go back and look in the chat room and see what people are saying. I can't do both at the same time. You guys are watching a feed that's anywhere from 90 seconds to 4 hours behind when I broadcast, depending on when you started watching. So if you, Windows 10 WHQL, do you think WH stands for Windows 10? WH, Windows Home? Why don't you look up what WHQL is? Okay. That's Windows Hardware Quality Labs. It's an in-house verification that Microsoft offers to manufacturers to ensure 100% compatibility without, crashing. And not all companies pay for that. But hey, there's Luke Greenier. He said, I just sent you $50 via PayPal towards that pesky ransom. I also hit the follow button for Amazon. Hey, thank you, Luke. John Kennedy says he loves my Altair 8800. Thank you, John. I love it too. You have good taste. Daniel in the chat said there is a way to force the installation to give you all versions to choose from. It requires adding an ei.cfg text file onto the flash drive source folder with the words channel retail. Yeah, I don't want to do that. He's no perfect, says Uncle. My used machine is having blue screen of death. More bucks to fix it. Just run memtest 86. I've got a video showing how you can download the free utility and make a bootable flash drive from it. In most cases, you have bad RAM. And if you follow that video, it's a short video. The test takes about 90 minutes or so to run. And then if anything comes up bad, you got to remove one of your memory modules and run the test again. And if you still get errors, and you've removed all your memory modules, start putting the first memory modules you took out one at a time back in, because I don't know how many you got, until it passes. And then the one that's left is the bad one. You can't fix it. Memory cannot be repaired. You'll have to talk to your manufacturer for warranty, and if you bought it in a pair, you'll probably have to send it back as a pair. And if that's all you got, you'll be without for about 2 weeks if you send it in for warranty. Just learn to live off the path. Gary is saying in the chat room that this looks like it's a pre-built board BIOS that can only be updated by the company that Gigabyte worked with. Enforcer P said the BIOS page showed a BIOS only for a Y1 motherboard. This is true, and this motherboard does say it's a Y1. Remember, when we looked into the BIOS, remember I pointed that out. It said Y1. I talked about that quite thoroughly to ensure that we were on the right page. Patrick Rusaw said he tried the Gigabyte Windows update utility that updates the BIOS through Windows, and he did not have any luck with that either. But Ghost Shadow is also saying that he's thinking it may be a locked board from a pre-built system like someone else suggested. But the BIOS matches. Everything matches on the model. Okay, Cordius Technology with a $5 contribution said, I just purchased 2 Windows 10 keys using your code. Thank you. I'm building 2 computers for family. Will this key work for business clients? I normally pay $150. Yes, the key is it's no different. You're going to save a lot of money, and it's totally 100% legitimate. The only difference is how much money you're paying. Tim Too Much says, what if you try to flash the F1 BIOS onto the board? That's a pretty good idea, Tim. I mean, we've got nothing to lose. Let me download F1, and then we'll extract it here on the streamer. And let's flip this back off, and we'll take the flash drive out of here. Plug that back in there. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's grab F1, copy, paste that to the flash drive. Good, good, good. Let me just take one more look. B365 DS3H Wi-Fi revision 1. It does say Wi-Fi-Y1 right on the page. Let me go back to my original search just to see if Gigabyte has any similar named boards. I'm so used to clicking the first link, that appears. What happens if I go a little different? Is this the same page or is this a different page? I don't know. This BIOS also shows 2 BIOSes. Exactly the same page, actually. Okay, well, let's grab this. Let's plug it in over here. You know what? Let's plug it in on one of these. Let's plug it in over here just to be different. Shouldn't make any difference. And let's turn this back on. There we go. And then let's go back to this input here. Take us back into our BIOS. Let me make this full screen for me. Date's actually pretty good. Okay, so let's try this again. QFlash. There's F1. OEM ID mismatch. So an OEM ID is what a pre-built manufacturer would have on their board. But Gigabyte's page isn't saying that this is an OEM board, and nothing in the BIOS has a OEM board manufacturer's name on it. And the BIOS is fully downloadable. There is a way, well, there used to be a way, to tell it to ignore the OEM ID. That's when we used to flash the old school way. So now this is where 30 years of experience potentially could make a bad situation worse or completely fix it. Back in the day, the way that you updated a BIOS is you had a bootable floppy disk and you would download the BIOS update utility, which was DOS based, along with your BIOS update file. And then there was usually a README text that told you all of the command line switches to skip this and skip that and override this and override that. And there's probably a command line switch to override the OEM mismatch ID check if we still use the DOS-based utility, which is probably out there somewhere. Let's just take a quick look at what Gigabyte's got on the page. First, though, a thank you to Michael Dane. He's just contributed $10. And he says, I just gave away my 61st computer tonight. I'm getting ready to start on my 62nd computer that I'm going to give away very soon. All the machines have 8 gigs of RAM, a 500 gig hard drive, and an Intel i5 CPU with Windows 10 Pro. You are the man. That is amazing. Okay, now, this is pretty interesting. I'm glad Patrick sent this to me. I don't know if the problem is related to the pins in the CPU socket or if we have this OEM mismatch legitimately, or OEM ID mismatch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Gigabyte's website. Let's go back over there again. And this time, let's take a closer look under utilities and see if we have a flash utility. There's the App Center. This is to go, you can update the BIOS through Windows, but if you're still going to have an OEM mismatch ID, what I need is a DOS-based flash utility. Just don't know if they offer it anymore to the public, but I know they've got one. They've got one in-house. I can virtually guarantee they do. I don't see it here. And it would be under the utilities. Sometimes, some companies, they have like an area separating out the BIOS stuff, but there's only 2 BIOS things here. Because the BIOS flashing is potentially risky. Yeah, that's a lot of, it's beta, updating CPU microcodes, download speed, blah, blah, blah. Please download from the region. If the file you wanted to download does not begin, okay, if you have encountered, please give feedback to our service. For better download quality, it's recommended you use software like FlashGet. What is FlashGet? I don't even know what that is. Oh, it's just a download manager. I don't care about that. No. I mean, who doesn't have broadband anymore? Download managers were people with dial-up, and you had to manage your downloads because they would take you a couple days. Okay, well, let's do another Google search here. Let's do how to override OEM ID mismatch, Gigabyte BIOS. OEM mismatch, okay. I recently swapped out my board, blah, 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 blah. Update from server. Make sure we've got the right revision of the board. They're pointing down at, sorry, let me share this with you. Pointing down here, revision 1.0. Look on the board to see if it says revision 1.0 somewhere along the edge of the board. Yes, right here. Right down here where my finger is in this corner, it says REV 1.0, so we're good there. So that's not our issue. Keep looking. He saved his current BIOS and was able to successfully reflash it. That's an interesting idea. I saved the F10 BIOS on the motherboard, and then I was able to successfully reload it using QFlash. Well, that's an interesting idea. Very, very interesting. Wow, that's an old reference. Did any of you get that? Just Artie Johnson? Who? All right, let's go back. Let's try something crazy. Are you ready to do something crazy? Let's do something crazy. Clicky OK. Where you at, Mitch? Task. Status? No? Anyone? DSH Wi-Fi, BIOS F1, BIOS date 5/14/2019. Yeah, the other BIOS was like 5/18, so that checks out. Let's go back to QFlash again. QFlash, save BIOS. And let's call this original. Oh, it's not right. Original BIOS. Enter. Saving BIOS now. Please stand by. 3, 2, 1. BIOS image saved. All right, well, that did what it's supposed to. Excellent. Enter. Update BIOS. Hey, where's my BIOS? I just saved it. What the heck, man? Where'd it go? Why is it not there? Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Does it have to follow a certain naming convention? Do I have to unplug it and plug it back in again? I don't know. Let me go back over to the streaming computer over here. Let's go back over to OBS and I'll turn the camera back on. Okay, so I got the flash drive plugged back into the streamer. Yeah, original BIOS. So let's do it this way. What do I want to do here? I'm going to rename it to F1, to the one I downloaded that says it's this one. So I'm going to delete that off the flash drive. I'm deleting the original F1 I downloaded. And I'm renaming the one I called original BIOS. It's there. I'm going to rename it to the exact name that the one I downloaded had. That was F1. You follow me? Probably not. Now that's done. I'll take this out of here. I don't know. That one looks good. Oh, I left this on the whole time? Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. HDMI input, full screen for me. Get the right mouse. QFlash, update. Now the F1 is the one we saved. How you like me now? Enter. Okay. Doesn't seem to be anything wrong with the board. Looks like it's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. That was a pretty neat idea. Okay. All right. Progress. We're making progress. System has turned itself off. It's twitching. The fan is twitching. There it goes. It's booting back up. Should go right back into our BIOS. QFlash. Now give me F2. OEM ID mismatch. That means the OEM ID is in this file right here. So I can use a sector editor, open that up and look at all the hex and find the OEM ID and remove it. This is like stuff I used to do in the 80s for fun. I used to open up the games. Hold on, there's a confession coming. When I was a kid, that was a long time ago when dirt was new. And back then dirt was called clean. That's how new it was. Anyway. When I would play with my Atari 400 computer, I did sort of play games like Pac-Man, because Pac-Man was as close as I could get to the arcade version of any platform available. That's why I bought it. I wanted to play arcade games at home where I could afford it. Not exactly rocket science. And hold on, I'm kind of confused. I have two screens up right now, and I don't know why. Bear with me for a second here. I don't know what's happening. Okay. Oh, I see. I had clicked on something. All right. So let me go back here. So what I used to do for fun is I would play with sector editing. And I would look, so you just see a bunch of hexadecimal codes. It's all gibberish, right? To my 15-year-old eyes. But in the gibberish would be English words that appeared on the screen, like Pac-Man by Atari. And I would go in there, and as long as the text I wanted to change was shorter than, the same length or shorter than what was there, I wasn't affecting the size of the data in the sector. So I would change Atari to carry. I didn't know my dad was a programmer at the time, and he didn't think that that was too amusing. Taking credit for somebody else's work. Well, I wasn't selling it or profiting from it. I was learning how the data is laid out on sectors and what a sector is and how a disk works and what hexadecimal code is and how that translates to the screen without requiring any decompilation of the code or any programming skill, right? If that word says Atari, can I just change that to say carry and save it? Yes, you can. Now, fast forward 40 years later, and now I can use that same learned skill to look at the hexadecimal codes within this BIOS, potentially find the OEM ID and clear it out. So sometimes when kids are playing around and you think it's a waste of time, you know, you're not going to make any money with those games and those computer toys. Those are just toys. You know, Mattel and Kenner and Hasbro and Fisher Price, these are all multi-million-dollar toy manufacturers. There's money to be made in toys. But then they stopped becoming toys and they started becoming tools as more and more companies started to adopt a cheaper PC instead of these big mainframes that you had to pay for outrageous prices from IBM, who controlled the market, and Microsoft. You know, that company you hate, they're the ones who made it possible for you to have a computer in your house. If it was up to IBM, you'd be spending $1,500 for your operating system. You think you're paying too much now? You should be kissing Bill Gates' feet, because Bill Gates introduced for the very first time ever an affordable commercial operating system. It'd never been done before. But now our perspective is we're entitled and we think we're paying too much. You guys weren't there. You weren't there, man. You have no idea what a savior Bill Gates was and still is. But our perspective of value has changed because we've become more entitled. We expect more. Even though we don't understand why, we just feel like this is just too much money. Based on what? Based on what? Besides, you can get it for like Windows 10 for $17 on my link. I spent more than $17 buying a foot-long turkey sandwich at Subway with a drink and chips. And I threw a little tip in. That Subway sandwich, I think, stayed with me for a day. My Windows 10 license will stay with me for years. Which one is the better investment of 17 bucks? Paying too much. Okay. We all deserve everything for free. As long as I get my free stuff too, bring it on. Who's paying for it? Who cares? I agree. Let me have my free stuff, please. Anyway, you guys should have been around in the 1960s, 1970s. IBM was the only game in town. And if you thought Wang, yeah, there was a computer called Wang. Go ahead. I'll wait for you to stop laughing. Never heard that one before. Digital Equipment, DEC. Who else was there? There just really wasn't any competition for IBM. Their systems were very expensive. And you just didn't buy any software. You had to hire a programmer and have all your software custom written to meet the needs of whatever you're trying to do. So we've come a very long way. This stuff is very, very affordable. And a lot of people weren't into computers back then because you actually had to know stuff. Now they've made it so you point at the pretty picture and you click on it. So it's for everybody. I don't know how to use a computer. Seems pretty complicated. Well, you see that little picture right there? Yeah. You see that little arrow? Uh-huh. Just grab this thing here, we call it a mouse, and then move that arrow on top of that picture that you want and then click on it. I thought you had to be smart to use computers. Oh, that was back in the 70s. Now they've dumbed it down. So can you see the picture? Oh, I want picture. Click picture. Click picture. What do you do for a living? Technician. Sorry, I had to get that out. I feel better now. I had a conversation in the 1990s with the lead network architect. Very smart guy. And I enjoy talking to people smarter than me. I admire them and I want to squeeze their brain, learn from these people. But first I have to know who they are, not just some rando on the internet. So back then, there really wasn't internet. I guess there was. It wasn't what it is today. It's the 90s. And he says, what you got to do, you go to your root. They said, wait, what? You go to your root. Go to my root. What's a root? He goes, your C drive. You go to the root of your C drive. I go, root. R-O-O-T. What do you wear on your feet? Butts? He looks at me. He's like, do you want to know this or not? Why are you calling it root? That's the strangest pronunciation I've ever heard in my life. It's not a root. It's a root. It's a root. On your feet, you wear boots, not boots. Sorry. See the picture? You click on it. Thank you. Thanks for your help. Graduated. Computer science. UNIVAC. Oh, Selden mentions UNIVAC. Yeah, they were around. CPM was were they a software maker? No, I guess they made hardware back in the day. Not very big though, not compared to IBM. T.W. Harris says, BBS, baby. That's right, bulletin board systems with the sysops. Go Shadow says, Carrie, in Alaska, I had a Wang micro mainframe about 3 foot cube in size. Yeah, you should see a doctor about that. Doom says, well, if it wasn't Bill Gates, it would have been somebody else. So Bill Gates didn't change the world. Would it have been you, maybe? No. I don't need to feed myself. Eventually, somebody will come along and feed me. I won't die. I don't have to learn to eat. You're not going to thank me for feeding you? No, because if you didn't do it, somebody else would have fed me. What was he saying about entitlement? I don't even know what that word means. Oh, it seems pretty clear to me. Thank you. Yeah. Let me just take whatever greatest accomplishment you ever had on your life, and let me take a big dump on it for you. Hey, whatever major thing you ever did in your life, somebody else would have done it anyway. By the way, what is that major thing you've done in your life? Oh, you're still working on it? So you're just criticizing the guy who actually did it and did it first? Based on your accomplishments of... We'll keep waiting for you. Don't hold your breath. Some people that do, some people that don't. Which one are you? I love the internet. All right, we are 2 people shy from having 1,000 people joining us live. Why don't you give me a shout out? Tell me where you are watching me from. Where are you at in the world? I know we're broadcasting all over the world, but it doesn't really sink in until somebody says, Brazil, Japan, Norway, Middle Earth, Space Station. We have any viewers on the International Space Station? They're probably busy doing something more important. Nerds. You didn't go up to the space station. Somebody else would have done it. Exude says he's watching in New York City. Tim Too Much is in Virginia. Tony Wallow joins us from California. Joseph and Michael in the UK. Got a viewer here. Who's that? Kiniso in South Africa. We've got Greg Carey. Great name. Seattle. I could be Carey in that family. Whew, twice as much Carey. World's not ready for that. Arnold joins us from like St. Lucia. We've got Martin in Sweden. Hey, wow, check that out. Swedish. I think we need a blue Swedish person. See there, you win by equal opportunity. It's not about who you are, it's what you are. That's the world we live in now, isn't it? No, you seem like a great person. Thank you. Let's see, we've got Arian joining us from the Philippines, and Marco is joining us from Florida. William is in Cocoa, Florida, and John Young is in Salina, Kansas. We've got Seth joining us in Lackland Air Force, from Lackland Air Force Base in Texas. Joseph Hawkins is in New Zealand. Robin is in Kent in the UK, and Francois is in Montreal. Marco joins us from Cincinnati. Matthew from Easton, Pennsylvania. Gainsey 95 is in Northern Ireland. We got Ian McLeod, the Scotsman in Texas. You should be in Scottsdale. Something to think about. Pangiolotis Grammatoropolis. Could that be Greece? Athens, Greece. I'm exaggerating your name, all in good fun. I honestly have no clue how to say it. It's probably something very simple. I'll call you PG. Thanks, PG. Robert Jones joins us from Charlotte, North Carolina. Simon is in Surrey in the UK. Wayne Drexler is in Wildwood, New Jersey. It's pretty much all of New Jersey, last time I saw it. Grippen joins us from Denmark, and Josh is in Philadelphia. Channel Zero is joining us from Wollongong, Australia. We've got Jay Valera in Porterville, California. John Paul Bacon in Federal Way, Washington. Patrick Russos in Syracuse, New York. Well, this motherboard has traveled better than me. Mort Mott is joining us from Upper Marlborough in Maryland. Lloyd Hedrick in Tennessee. Reg Cooper in Belgium. Hey, we got a Belgian viewer. How cool is that? Let's turn a Belgian blue. A Belgian viewer, blue. Paul 1961's in Winnipeg. That's in Canada. Brian joins us from West Virginia. Valenzuela Games is in Ontario, Canada, and BD is in Kansas City, Missouri. Olivia M is in Hawaii. Robert claims to be from Earth, but I'm not sure. Greg says he's in Baltimore, New York. No, Belmore, New York. Bob Mick is in Bundaberg, Australia. Alda Rivera joins us from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Fred Sunderman is in North Haven, Connecticut. John Alderson, North Carolina. RGM's in Arkansas. Mark A is in Georgia. Henry joins us from Thailand. Oh, let's make him blue too. Let's get an international blue group. Dustin Fuller in Algonac, Michigan. Michigan, my home state. Dean joins us from Princeton, Indiana. Eduardo is in Sonora, Mexico. Patrick Manny is in Kettering, Ohio. Mike Perodin is in Montreal. Michael Dane says he's in his living room. Well, you're not in my living room. I checked. Prince Radio is in Liberia. Cord Oliver's in Iowa. Jason joins us from Fresno. Dennis in Dallas. Richard in Rochester, New York. Ben is in Louisville, Kentucky. We've got Dennis joining us from Texas and Ricky Saunders in the UK. Enforcer P is in California. Procta is in Sunderland in northeast of England. Ratbags in Wisconsin. Tony L joins us from Anchorage, Alaska. Terrell Cochran is in Michigan. Nick Poverman's in Belmar, New Jersey. Stealth Mode in St. Augustine, Florida. Lorna says, you've sent rain from Arizona to Utah. Well, we can all use it. Scott Hallinan is in New Zealand, and Stephen Clark is in the UK, and System Shortcuts is in the Philippine Islands. Peter Van Zulen is in the Netherlands. Bruce joins us from Chicago, Chi-Town. William joins us from Birmingham in the UK, and Nando is in South Africa. Randall joins us from Chicago. We've got the Bronx 9 in London, and Andrew Hurst in Morecambe. Not quite sure how to say that. In the UK. Noy is in Australia. Jason Wyrick's in Pennsylvania. Gerald is in Heath, Ohio. And Dragon Lord is in Rhode Island. Patrick Russa, I already said. Ryan joins us from Hamilton in Ontario, Canada. Right across the lake from Michigan. Sorry, the river. Would that be the Detroit River? Probably. Ron joins us from Ohio. Mike Podekowitz says he's from the moon. I believe that to be true, because he has a cheesiness about him. Gil Garcia's in Texas. And Malcolm Ogilvy is in Aberdeen, Scotland. And there's a bunch of you in the middle because this whole thing just went whoosh like that. But I like to give everybody a little shout out. And in doing so, I lost 102 viewers. But, you know, it's totally worth it. Because, you know, all of them paid the same amount to watch the content. So it's not like I lost anything. That's the thing about YouTube, you know. It's great when you get a lot of viewers, but at the end of the day, I'm still paid the same quarter penny. Now, let me get back on track here. We have an OEM ID built into this BIOS, which is quite interesting. And we can strip that OEM ID out of there by hand. I know we can, but I also think there's a way to flash the BIOS and tell it with a command line switch to ignore the OEM ID. Barn Dweller with a $5 contribution says, I just ordered the parts for my Windows 10 build. Thanks to you, sir. Mount Morris, Michigan. Right on. Listen, take your time and enjoy your build. I'm telling you, once it's done, you're going to want to do it again. So don't rush it. Don't use any brute force. Everything should fit nice and easy if you're doing it right. I'll turn the light on for you. There we go. Sending positive vibes, positive neon vibes your way. Ryan says, what's the big announcement? The big announcement is I'm on Amazon Live. Yeah, Amazon Live. Did you know that was a thing? Amazon.com/live. It's going to look a lot familiar, look a lot like what you're already familiar with here. And you know what? We're having a great chat room today. I'm not really seeing any idiots at all. None of them, not even you. Oh, there goes another viewer. Bye. No, seriously, Amazon chat, it's not as popular as YouTube, so it's not as chaotic. And I'm going to be making, I already started making videos as of August 1st, that was yesterday, videos for Amazon Live, some of which will be just for Amazon Live, because I want to. I mean, I could simulcast it, but I want to push traffic over to Amazon Live, and I'm going to tell you why. I can be much more intimate with my viewers. Sorry. I was looking at the wrong guy. I can put a product carousel below my video. What is that? What's a product carousel? That's Amazon marketing speak for showing little pictures of the things I'm using, like this motherboard or this RAM or this NVMe drive. And you go, what is that? Where do I buy that? And I go, look at the video notes. What are video notes? I don't know how to look at video notes. I'm watching this on a TV. I don't know how to get video notes. I don't know what he's talking about. Okay. So if you go to Amazon.com/live and I'm talking about stuff like this power supply, I can put a link to it with a little picture of it right there. And if you buy it, I make a little commission. I mean, I'm already doing this all anyway. It just makes it easier for you. You just point at the picture and you click on it. We just talk about that. Now, look, I know you don't need that. You're much smarter than the, average YouTube viewer. But for the rest of you, you see the picture and you clicky. You don't have to read anything. I mean, I wouldn't want you to have to read anything. So I think this is going to be a great new platform for me to expand to, but I'm not abandoning YouTube. I'm going to try and split my time up a bit and then maybe simulcast a few times on both at the same time. So it's just another place where you can reach me. And if you want to talk to me, you'll be more likely to get my attention over there because it's really, really tiny. I had 3 viewers. I watched 2. I had 4 viewers last night. Some of my best work ever. And you never saw it. Well, it is recorded and you can play it back now. And it was my first time broadcasting and figuring out Amazon Live software. So if you would follow me on Amazon, I would appreciate it. I need to get to 2,000 followers to impress the elders of Amazon. They're giving me 2 months to do it. I'm trying to do it in 2 days. So what you can do is go to amazon.com/shop, S-H-O-P, / one more time. That's the slash that's underneath the question mark on your keyboard. Spell my name correctly as one word, Kerry Holzman, and then press enter. That's going to be my Amazon shop. Well, it's not going to be. It's been my Amazon shop for over 2 years. Once you're there, you can scroll through there. You can see all the products I use. It's always been there this whole time. And then you'll see a video from last night. Any videos I do that you miss will be there. Anything I'm doing live will be there for you to jump into. And if you click the little follow button, there's a little follow button and you click on it, then you can be made alerted. You can be made alerted. You could be alerted to when I'm live. I don't see any way to upload pre-recorded videos to Amazon. So apparently, if you get a notice that Carrie's posting a new video, if it's Amazon Live, it's going to be live. That's why it's called, well, you know, Amazon Live. I'm pretty excited about it. I think that there's a lot of opportunity here for getting a bigger audience. People who've never seen me before. Amazon, think about this. People who are already shopping at Amazon, but they don't go to YouTube. What a great way for me to gain new subscribers here on YouTube. I can tell those folks at Amazon, hey, subscribe to me over at YouTube. I can tell the folks at YouTube, hey, go watch me at Amazon Live. See what I'm saying? Build, 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 grow, grow, grow. And I'm not selling out. I'm not doing anything any different. I'm still the same products, the same way, with the same conditions. Nothing's changed, except only now I can get paid for it, which means less and less likely to have to charge any memberships or anything, and I can keep these videos free. It's good news, right? And all that frustration that I get sometimes with these losers that come into the chat room. We don't have any today. It's been great today, that, at least so far as I've seen. I've not seen that at all at Amazon. At all. Because Amazon doesn't just let anybody jump into their chat room. You have to verify an account, which is a far more thorough process than what YouTube does. You see, it's in YouTube's best interest to have as many accounts as possible, fake or otherwise. They're going to use those numbers to inflate the value of advertising to sponsors. It's in YouTube's best interest to let people create hundreds of fake accounts. And then it's in their best interest to pretend like, oh, there's nothing we can do about it, but we'll clean it up once we realize they're fake, which could take months. Oh, we could put new accounts on a probationary status that prevents them from interacting by posting or behaving in live stream chats for a few days. We don't know how to do. We're not that smart. It's technologically impossible for us to have a probationary period or to restrict the number of messages a new account could send, if any at all. It's either all or nothing, because that's all we can do here at YouTube. We don't know anything better. Oh, and by the way, advertiser, we have 8 billion users. And the advertisers go, are there only 7.5 billion on the planet? I don't know. So Amazon, on the other hand, you're signing up to shop on Amazon, right? So you got to have an Amazon account to buy anything on Amazon. I think you do. Many of you already have an Amazon account. Maybe you watch Amazon Prime, or you're listening to Amazon Music, or maybe you read a lot of books or Audible, or I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why people have Amazon already. And so Amazon Live is just more free content for you. And there's no high pressure sales. I don't do that nonsense. I'm still doing the same thing I do here, only the products I'm talking about will be below the video in the product carousel. Hey, Come on and ride the product carousel. It's Amazon. I'm so honored. You have no idea what this means to me. If anybody in the industry reaches out to me, says, would you be interested in working with us? There's places like Microsoft, and there's places that I've worked before, like Intel, or certain places I admire and respect. And in that list, that fairly short list of places, is Amazon. And it's right up towards the top, if it's not on the very tippy top. I talk about Amazon all the time. I got a thing for Amazon and Etsy. My Etsy disease is real. I'm calling it Etsy-letsy. I can't go on Etsy. I just find really weird, stupid stuff like this. I had to wait 3 months from this to come from Russia because it's handmade and limited editions by an artist. And it's creepy. Look at the eyes. Look at my eyes. Hello. Yeah, do you know your way to the castle? Oh, never go there. Never. Sorry. Which way do I go? Don't go that way. Never go that way. Well, if she'd have gone that way, I would have taken us straight to the castle. Sorry, I screwed that all up. It's been a long time. Watch the movie Labyrinth. It's got David Bowie in it. It's fantastic. Cursed. Etsy-letsy. Between Etsy and Amazon. Stop buying stuff. Michael McFarland with 125 somethings. I don't know what that is. It says, Mr. Carey, I'm going to build my first computer soon, and I'm just waiting for all the parts to arrive. Thanks for inspiring me to take the jump. Please let us know how your build goes, Michael. And let me Google what your currency is, because I don't know what that is. Google, what is that? Philippine pesos. That's about $2.50. I'll take it. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, Michael, let us know how your journey goes. We'd love to hear about your experience. Maybe you will inspire others who are also on the fence. Derp says, that thing is beautiful. I know, right? It's totally worth waiting on. This lady in Russia makes them, and she can only make, like 3 a year or 4 a year. And you got to sign all these disclaimers that you're not going to complain to Etsy when you don't get it for 2 months or 3 months. And you better sign and acknowledge it twice that you're going to be waiting 2, 3, maybe even 4 months for it. Okay. Then I completely forgot about it. Then I got a notice in my email. Your Etsy package shipped. I'm like, what Etsy package? What was I doing last night? I don't remember ordering anything on Etsy. The package you ordered back in April. Oh, actually, it might have been June. It was maybe May. Anyway, it arrived, and it's beautiful, and I love it. And it's handmade, so chances are you don't have one. Frank Jimmy says, that's just a peso shy of $3.50. Wait a minute. Michael McFarland 8 stories tall with scales from the planet Loki? No. Selden says, I was able to get to the page without being logged in on Amazon. Absolutely. I never said you couldn't get to the page. I said if you want to participate in the chat room of a live video on Amazon, you will have to be signed in to Amazon, and doing so will require an Amazon account. Sabe? Capiche? You didn't know I was bilingual, did you? Will says, how about building with computer parts only off of Etsy challenge? It's the same parts. What difference does it make where you get them? Brian says, are we going to do a DOS Unity to fix the computer. I don't know that I can figure this out while I'm live. We know that the BIOS flash works, and we know that the reason it's not working is this OEM mismatch. And so where I was before before Nutty showed up, and well, Nutty's gonna just, well, that's your new friend there, Nutty. You guys should get to know each other. Ah, you think you're cuter than me? Sweet. He's not looking. It's gonna be butterflies for you, buddy. He's not a caterpillar. I'm a squirrel. I don't know the difference. It was approximately 6 o'clock in the evening on August 2nd, 2021, when we witnessed Kerry Holzman lose his mind. It's interesting when we play this back in the scientific community to see the degradation as it occurs where the final crack starts and where the entire break falls off. You know what, don't mind me. I'm just entertaining myself. Only this time I turn the camera on. I actually sit here and do this all day. You guys probably didn't know that. Sometimes I turn the camera on. It's kind of weird when the camera's not on, but when it's on, everybody thinks it's normal. So now who's the crazy one? See, I thought that was hilarious. This is a wasted on you. It's brilliant gold of humor, and it's just wasted. All right, so anyway, I was looking online before I got distracted for just about an hour and a half at what some other people might have done. There's no second page to this. Is this where it ends? Well, that's completely useless. Right. No, it's only one page. It's not so good. I like this guy. Kyle is, man, I would love to do videos with Kyle. I'll show him crazy. Oh boy, cookie settings. Chocolate chip or just no raisins? I don't care. EFI flash. Commands. Ah, remember I said there were switches? More switches! Build a bridge out of them. Update both main and backup. Reboot after the backup. Clear the DMI data. Save the ROM. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Bypass. Okay. That's what I want. EFI flash. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. That's what I'm looking for. Works perfect. Okay. So what is, it says commands, it says bypass, but how? How do you bypass it? With what switch? Input or output file. So we're going to type EFI flash at the DOS prompt, input or output the file name. Okay, and that'll be the name of the file. And then the command. So what command is it? I don't understand. Different? This is a good way to get a virus, you know, download stuff like this. Clear the data. save, reboot. Okay, but where's an example of how to get past the BIOS ID mismatch? Oh, maybe it's not going to check it to begin with because it's DOS-based. Oh, here we go. Show ROM address when programming fail is encountered. Clear. Yeah. I usually use the CFI shell because I never see compatibility versions on that. Oh, he's got a shell. Is he a turtle? Turtle shell. Where's my download? Go to file. Ugh. Yeah, I didn't say go to files. Full EFI. Where is it? Is it this? I just want to point at the pretty picture. Where's my pictures on this thing? I have become one of them. What about that thing that says download? Yeah, that's probably it. This kind of file can harm your computer. Excellent. I keep it. Hey, it's only about 19 pages to read. Not like they beat a dead horse or anything. You can't say that. Oh, look, it went to version 0.93 to 0.95. Just collect them like Pokemon cards. Okay, all right, that looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Okay, so what have we learned? Anyone? Bueller? Some of you know what I'm about to do, right? eFlash modified bypasses the following checks. Oh, I don't have to use any command lines. That's what I was thinking. Carry, download the latest zip file. And the zip file is the DOS loader for the BIOS. I didn't think it was in there. Let me look again. Maybe you're right. I do this so many times, I don't even think about it anymore. Let's go back to my downloads folder and open up the, it's got to be in there, motherboard BIOS. What did I say it was? F2D? Yeah. Yeah, there is EFI flash, but I don't want to use that one. No. So let's do this. Let me try something here. Let's get you back over to the screen capture. Oopsie. Let's do Rufus. Create bootable USB drives. Yes, please. Okay. Let's download Rufus. Let's run Rufus. Okay. Okay, and let's show Rufus on the screen. Rufus. There's Rufus. Well, that's just really inconvenient. Let's take a look what we got going on over here. Okay, Rufus. Device. Oh, I probably need a device, huh? Yeah. Okay. Let's grab this flash drive here. And let's just plug it in over here. And okay, there it sees it already. Disk or ISO image. I want FreeDOS. No, I don't want an image. Where'd it go? Motherboard, MBR or GPT, MBR. It's just a bootable thing. So UEFI. Okay. Boot selection, FreeDOS. That should be fine. Start. Oh, the data is going to be erased. Oh no. Okay. Okay, so that's recording onto the flash drive. So I think it's going to make it bootable. I don't know. Maybe. Maybe it's possible. It could do that. I don't know. Give me this. Turn this off. Plug this in. Turn it back on. Flip the switch. Go back to, yeah, let's go back to that. It's gonna boot. Gonna boot me to DOS. It does boot me to DOS. Ooh, welcome to 1984. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your arms and legs in the vehicle at all times. Okay, let me flip this back off. So now that I know it works, let me extract the F2 BIOS utility. No, I don't want their BIOS utility because I think their BIOS utility is gonna do that check. We don't want to do that check. So let me go to downloads. Let me grab, all of that. There's a lot of files in here. I don't need the EFI files, but let's take everything and let's put it over onto this flash drive. Paste that. Good. And let's go to the latest BIOS, which I downloaded here in a zip file. Let's extract it all. Oh, I guess I already extracted it. And that's copy. Let's go back to the flash drive and paste. Ah, yes, this is what it was like to be a tech back in the day. Close, close. This is how we used to do it. This was just old school, everyday BIOS flashing, and it wasn't really that dangerous back then if you knew what you were doing. If you didn't know what you were doing, it was very dangerous. The same can be held for most things in life, though. Okay, got stuff falling all over here. I think it's mostly mold from standing here too long. Fungus is growing. Okay, let's try to go back over to HDMI 1 input. Hopefully it boots off this flash drive again. Okay, so for those of you new, this is called DOS. And we're at what's called a C prompt. And now we will type in DOS commands. This was effectively like learning another language. And if you didn't learn the language, you could not use computers. Or you couldn't in the early days anyway. And like any language, it stays with you for life. You might lose pieces of it, but I mean, you know, for the most part, you can certainly donde está el baño. So I'm gonna just take a look at, oh, wrong keyboard. Let me grab the right keyboard so that I don't, you know, make this harder than it has to be by using the wrong keyboard. Okay. And let's take a listing of what's on the stuff here. Okay, so one of these things is not like the other. Okay. So the file that ends in F2D, that's our BIOS. EFI flash is the manufacturer's file. Let's type in EFI FLA tilde 2 space 365 MDSHW dot F2D, enter. Ooh, what's happening right now? Uh-oh, verifying file, transferring. writing BIOS. Now, let me ask you a question. What other YouTube tech channels with enthusiasts do you watch that do this? All of them? How dare you? This is literally how we used to flash BIOSes. Back in the day, this was the only way you did it. Only instead of booting from a flash drive, I booted from a floppy disk. If you flash the wrong BIOS, you'd brick your motherboard. That's why I said if you didn't know what you were doing, you had to be very careful over what BIOS you selected. So I know for a fact I've got the right BIOS here, and we are now writing the BIOS because we're not doing that OEM ID anything. I don't know why that was in there, and I don't care because it's a free motherboard. If I screw it up, well, it was fun to make the video. And if I succeed, you're going to say, holy cow, that worked. Carrie is a deity. Maybe not a deity, but, you know, smarter than the average bear. Not as dumb as he looks. Got lucky. Still a jerk. I don't know. Whatever you conclude, there's something to be said about content that is unusual. And this is unusual content, right? Because I've never done this on video before, except at OnlyFans. Now, here we've got the verification process to verify that it was written correctly. If this is the wrong BIOS, the system is bricked. We are done. I'm not touching anything. The system is going to restart on its own. That's why it says no signal. And, geez, I hope I captured that, because that would suck if I had to. Well, take two, Carrie. Take two. No. All right, here, this is it. This is for all the marbles. This is for all the marbles. What's happening right now? Is it going to work? Is it going to boot? I don't even know what's happening. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. You can do it. You can do it. Uh-oh. Shut off. Uh-oh. It's off. Oh, wait. It's back on again. It's on again. All right. It's going to boot to DOS because I still have the flash drive plugged into it, yeah? So let's let it do its thing. It still may be doing something anyway. So I'll wait patiently, not touching a thing. It has turned itself off all by itself. So it's a good thing I didn't touch anything yet. I'm going to wait till I get back to that bootable C prompt on the flash drive. That'll tell me it's done. That means it's done. Yeah? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look. How many of you never saw that before? Because you guys weren't nerds like I was in 1980, whatever. All right, let me turn this off, shut this down. Okay, let's take this, done with this. I'm gonna have to reformat that. Where's my Windows 10 flash drive? Nutty? Windows 10 flash drive. Windows 10 in front of me. Plug that in now. Where'd you go to school to learn all that? There was no such thing as a school to learn this. The only way you could learn was you did it. Then you'd write a book about it so the schools could teach about it. But by then you'd already done something else to write another book. So the schools were always at least a year to 2 years behind whatever we were doing in the tech space. All right, so I got the Windows 10 flash drive in there. We're back to the no signal. If I'm lucky, this thing, let's go back to delete. Delete, delete, delete. Delete, delete, delete. Get me in the BIOS. Thank you very little. We should see we're on BIOS F2. Thank you very little. Save and exit. Gosh darn it, it's got a little delay here. I want to load optimize defaults just to stack the deck in my favor. Save and exit. Now, let's go ahead and reboot. Should boot off Windows 10. Let's see if it offers us Windows 10 Pro or Home this time. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen. If you think we're going to be offered Windows 10 Home or Windows 10 Pro, as you would normally see in every video I have ever done, Or do you think it's going to just automatically go from the license agreement into where we're going to install? So let's find out. Here goes nothing. Okay, next. Install now. Can you tell me how to do that over the phone? No. So far, so good. Wah, wah. Oh, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? It's still skipping past. Still skipping past. Oh, this is interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. Let me turn this back off. And I will give you, I'll let you guys pay up your bets. You know who you are. This could be, so this is the same Windows 10 installation media I always use in all my builds. We know what it's capable of. We know how it's supposed to work. And I assumed that something in the OEM ID mismatch was related to perhaps some product key or artificial limitation in the BIOS to only accept Windows 10 Home. So I realized you can update and force it. I don't want to do that. I want it to work like it's supposed to work. I don't want to put a Band-Aid on it or sweep the, if you sweep up the dirt and then you lift the rug and sweep the dirt under the rug, you didn't clean the room, you moved the dirt. It's still in the room. You need to get the dirt out. So I'm not interested in, there's lots of different ways we can put Windows 10 Pro on it. Patrick Rousseau, just installed it on another machine and cloned it, but he could have just put Home on it and put the upgrade on it and did it that way. There's a lot of different ways he could have accomplished it, but you're not supposed to have to do that. So I'm not interested in Band-Aids or duct tape. I want it fixed right. And I enjoy challenges like this. I'm not interested in just jumping to the finish line. Now, if this was a time-pressed matter, I would replace the motherboard. And then I would hold on to it for my own enjoyment later. So, I'm starting to wonder if the little bent pins in the socket are causing this. Because I have to think about what's different. And this is your key diagnostic skill. If you learn one thing from me about repairing computers, is you ask yourself, what's different? So if you have all these computers that all work fine, but this one here doesn't, what's different about this one? Well, we know there's a couple of bent pins in the socket. What else is different? That's all I can tell right now. It's also not a model of board I've used before. It's a, I should rephrase, I've got plenty of B365M HD3s or DS3Hs. In fact, I've got one right over here. I was just showing this off on Amazon Live last night, and I even included a link to it. But it doesn't have Wi-Fi. So it's the same board, but with Wi-Fi. So your BIOS has to have the Wi-Fi stuff in there, I mean, in theory, I could probably flash this BIOS onto that, but it doesn't seem to be a BIOS flash issue. Didn't solve the problem. So we managed to get over a hurdle that really wasn't in our way, but we didn't know that until we got over the hurdle. So now the diagnostic process moves to the next step, which is what? It's based on your imagination as a technician. And then, of course, as you gain years and 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 years of experience, your guesses start to become a little bit more accurate. You can say, well, first of all, I know the RAM is good and I know the CPU is good. I've already known that. I know this power supply is good. I've been using them on other systems, so they're not anything different. So what's different? Motherboard is slightly different. But what's different about it? It just seems to have Wi-Fi. That seems to be the only thing different. Okay, anything else? I don't know. Did you notice anything about it? Well, there's a couple of bent pins in the socket. Which pins were bent? I don't know, just a couple. Well, were those pins important? What do they do? I don't know what they do. So then how do you know that those pins are working and connecting? I don't. So would it be worth it maybe to play around with those pins a little bit more? Couldn't make it work. I mean, I could make it worse, but it's useless to me like this. It's not going to work right. And as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't work. What about draining the BIOS? Well, I mean, we reset the BIOS. I mean, it couldn't hurt. I mean, I can get a little screwdriver here and I can pop the little battery out like so. And I can put the battery on my little battery tester right here. And we can make sure that we're getting, yeah, it's 100% charged. There's no problem with that battery. There's a BIOS clear jumper. Make sure the board doesn't have any power. Right here, and I'll just short that out with this little screwdriver. I forgot, I need to bring some jumpers over from Studio A. I don't have any here. We'll leave that on there for about 20 seconds or something. I don't know. Maybe look really closely at the board. Oh, Patrick left a little plastic standoff in here. Good man. I told you didn't have to use that, but you did anyway. Maybe he had them lying around. There on the board it says SMY1. So that's, again, back to what the BIOS online said and what the BIOS on the board said. That's all checking out. It's all checking out. I'm looking for any damage to the board, anything that looks burned, anything that looks obvious, out of place. And, you know, you need a magnifying glass to really look at most of these components. They're super tiny. Super tiny. Put the battery back in. Like that. I'm going to plug the power supply back in like that. Turn that back on. Turn this back on. And we're going to boot it up again and probably go back right through the same exact steps. Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. Let's put this back in. Let's go over here just to see if that makes any difference, if it's a USB related problem. We'll turn that on. It's not going to be because the BIOS didn't work in either one either. But I'm going to do it anyway. Just, you can't use logic to fix an illogical problem. So you have to test every little thing to verify it's working properly until you find the one that isn't. You can't say, well, I'm not going to test that because that wouldn't make any sense. Obviously, that's not the problem. Then you're going to be a terrible technician. You'd be a lazy one, and you're not going to solve a lot of problems. Because if it was obvious, you'd already have it fixed. It's nothing that's going to be obvious. So you can't just exclude items from diagnostic other than what you verified previously. Such as, I verified the RAM on a different board. I verified the CPU on a different board. I verified the power supply on a different board. I know my Windows 10 flash drive is exactly the same. I've used it countless times before. Alexandru contributes 25 RON. He says, I bet there's a Windows OEM key preloaded in that BIOS, which the installer sees. Just install Windows as is and then check for activation. Oh, well, that's a good point. There's certainly no harm in that. If the board's ever been activated in the past, or if it has the, oh, we gotta go bigger screen here, sorry. If it has the, that's the thing, if it's ever been activated in the past, then that will still activate it regardless if there's a, that doesn't indicate definitely that there's a key in the BIOS. And I just overwrote the BIOS. So, you know, see what happens. Accept the terms, custom. Yeah, we're right back to square one. It certainly does seem to be finding something, doesn't it? Let's install it. Let's see if it activates on. That's a good idea. I mean, just out of curiosity, but it still doesn't mean that there's an onboard product key. All that means is it's been activated in the past. But if it shows up as not activated, that means no one ever activated it and there is no key in the BIOS. So there's that. Stealth Mode contributes $5. He said, here's my payment on the bet. Thanks, Stealth Mode. Appreciate playing. Thanks for playing. Get you a consolation prize on the way out. You're not going to see riveting television like this on NBC. Okay, we're getting ready to do our first boot up of the Windows install. It does, I think, 3 of these. Joseph Zins with a $5 contribution said, Carrie, I've got 3 spare computers in the basement and the graphics probably died on each one. Could it sitting in storage have worn each one out? There's a guy on YouTube. His name's Greg Salazar. And he restores old computers that are dusty and muddy and rusty and brings them right back to life again. He'd be the guy to ask. Greg says the OEM certificate of authenticity is not stored in the read-write area of the BIOS. Well, then how did they plug it in there, Greg? How did they plug it into the BIOS if they didn't read or write it into the BIOS? Okay, well, that's loading. Let me pull out the Windows 10 installation media. Get that out of the way. We're done with that for now. It's working like it's supposed to. It does kind of feel like it's got a product key in it, doesn't it? I gotta find it. Okay, finally, we're there. Come on, go full screen so I can see it. There it is. Okay. States, yes. Yes. Skip. I don't have internet. Continue. Patrick Rousseau sent this to me, so I'm going to put his name on this medical mystery. This really doesn't matter. I'm not going to keep it. Oh, hello. So friendly. Greg M says they use a different utility to write the information to that area. Well then, I'll just download a copy of that utility and clear it out. If there's software, we can get a copy of it. We should be hopefully done here in a moment. Shouldn't be too much longer, and then I'll plug it into the network and we'll go online to get Windows updates, and then we can, after our first reboot, check and see if we activated. I don't know that it'll tell us right now without an internet connection. I guess it wouldn't hurt to look, but I got a feeling it's not really an accurate way to do that in every case. It might work that way in some cases. Let's do this later. Windows 10 Home, not available. Default string, that's the processor, UEFI. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's great. Lovely. Super. You know, if you spent more than $60 on your motherboard, chances are you wouldn't be doing this. So, you know, just saying. The less you spend, the more likely it is that you're going to be investing a lot more time in your build. And if you don't mind that, that's not, I don't care. But don't fool yourself that you're not taking additional labor-intensive problem-solving challenges by saving a few dollars. What was I looking for? Wasn't I just in here? Well, look at here. This is interesting. There is a product key here. There is a product key. Okay, well, mystery solved, sort of. We know there is a product key. We have to figure out where it is and take it out. Do a quick Google search. To delete the default BIOS key. I haven't used it, but there's a read-write utility that can edit BIOS OEM data. When I go into MSDM, it shows me the license key in the BIOS. Now I see it, but how do I remove it? You need to replace the existing BIOS with a version without an MSDM table. As far as I know, deleting the key won't work since it would have a broken MSDM table that most likely will cause activation issues. There are several ways on how OEMs license their BIOS. You want to see what I'm seeing? I'll show you. Follow along with me. Here you go. There are several ways how OEMs license their BIOS. When I was thinking about DMI, we could clear the DMI. Creating into protected areas which are left untouched on any official BIOS update. To play with that, one could use an SPI programmer, but it's not worth it in my own opinion. You need a full dump. Yeah, tell me about it. Okay, all right. A little more information there. Get this RW Everything piece of software, which is I just downloaded that. And then let's extract it and copy the extracted file to the BIOS flash drive that I have here. Paste. I found paste. Okay. Okay. Let's go full screen back on camera one. So I have a feeling, based on what I read in the forum, that the software that I just downloaded onto this flash drive, I think it'll run in Windows, and it will read to me that BIOS information and show me that full product key, but I don't want to air that live for obvious reasons. I don't want people stealing that product key. Probably going to make my life miserable. So I'm going to have to do this. See, I can't see the screen without you seeing it. So I don't want to run this utility and verify what that product key is. Now I could pull it out of Windows too, but I want to see what the BIOS says. I could try running that eFlash utility with a slash, whatever it was, to clear the DMI area. I just don't think it's in the DMI area. Fixed anything like this before. Alexander says, why not see if it activates with that key and enjoy a free Windows license? We're not interested in that. Why not learn how to fix anything and just accept less? We don't have that value system here. I want this to work the way it's supposed to work. Look, it doesn't take a computer technician with 30 years of experience to think of the obvious. I want to actually repair the board. I want to be able to share my experience online in order to empower and inspire and educate others. I don't want to teach people how to take shortcuts in life. Yeah, maybe you'll never get successful, but you know, you were able to eat. So that's good enough. Why try harder? Why should you ever try harder than you have to? That's the attitude we're really trying to come across. That's what we're trying to put out there is, you know, just give up on life. Never try to fix anything right. Now, what do you do for a living again? I fix stuff. No, you don't. That's not fixing anything. That's called putting a Band-Aid over it. So you're a computer technician? I am. And what do? I cover stuff up. Well, I got this big error light here. Hold on, I got a piece of tape. I'll cover that up for you. There's nothing wrong with Windows 10 Home. I can't imagine why any Windows user at home would notice or use any feature of Windows 10 Pro. It's not for home users. Windows 10 Pro is designed for corporate users. You need to log into a server. You need to have FINRA compliance, stuff like that. I think most home users who have upgraded from Windows 10 to Windows 10 Home to Windows 10 Pro are people that had nothing better to do, had extra money burning in their pocket, they didn't know what to do with it. They put themselves in a challenging situation and risked the reliability of the computer in order to see the version, say, Pro instead of Home, and it changed nothing for them. The computer's not any faster, it's not any more reliable, and it's not able to do anything that it wasn't able to do before in the way that we're using it. So I think most home users who upgrade to Pro are just bored, have nothing else better to do, and they have this fear of missing out on something they don't understand. And so they pointlessly spend money and time and risk the reliability of their system for no justifiable reason. There's no return on investment for 98% of home users who have Windows Home. 98% of them will notice nothing other than the loss of the financial status of their wallet to pay for it, the amount of time they invested to do it. At the end of the day, you still have the same computer with the same performance that does all the same things that you were using before. There's going to be a couple of you out there that say, well, I want to use this and I want to use that. You don't represent the majority of Windows 10 Home users. You're just not. You're a little tiny minority of people. Everybody else who does it will do so completely wastefully. It is the largest waste of time and money I've ever seen home users put into their computer, next to adding RGB lights, in my opinion, as a technician. There's so many other things you could have done with that money that would have been more beneficial to you or the computer. And updating to Windows 10 Pro is such a complete waste of time and money unless you actually have to log into a server, or you have to abide by FINRA compliance, or you are just so bored out of your mind that you're willing to risk the reliability of your machine because it's not important to you. It's a novelty and you're bored. And if you break it, oh well. That attitude does not convey in the corporate world. There has to be a return on the investment. And the investment is not just a financial one, it's a time investment. But this isn't my concern. It's your money and it's your time and it's your computer. Do whatever you want. This board should not, to the best of my knowledge, have a built-in programmed BIOS key. The fact that it does is concerning. So those of you in the chat who suspected this was like made for a system integrator, yeah, you appear to be correct. What's interesting is Gigabyte doesn't say anything about that on their support page for the board. They promote the board just like every other board. In every way, shape, and form, the way Gigabyte displays it and supports it does not indicate any sort of system integrator association in any way, shape, or form. Typically, when a motherboard manufacturer provides boards to a system integrator, they slightly alter the model number so that when you search for it, nothing comes up. But if you, or the only thing that comes up is the system integrator's website. Yeah. So in any event, I see people telling me why they need to use Windows Pro. I don't care. You don't have to justify how you spend your money and time. Anybody using RDP is like, what are you, 15 years back in time and you don't care about security? I don't care. You need to use proper remote management software that's secured and encrypted. Or don't, because you don't care about your security and you want to be backwards in time. I don't care. That's your prerogative, man. You want to be in the history and you want to static IP everything and port forward everything in the router and dying DNS. I mean, oh my gosh, are you living in the past? But hey, you're allowed to. You're not breaking any rules, but you're not representative. That's all I'm saying. You do not represent the vast majority of computer owners in the world. Don't know why that's so hard for people to understand. You're more technical and you have a higher priority on things that most of us don't even care about. If you mention this to anybody else who's a regular computer user, they'll say, and so? You say, you know, if you turn this on, you can do this and you can do this. They go, I don't want to do that. It sounds like a real hassle. You go, no, it's super easy. You go do that. None of us are interested in that nonsense. But hey, you have, you have a good time. That's not a normal behavior of a computer user in general. Most computer users just simply want the thing to work. They want it to be quiet. They want it to be reliable. They want it to be fast. Then we get into these real technical people. Sometimes real technical people, they care about, it's like why somebody climbs a mountain. Why did you climb the mountain? Because it was there. Most people look at a mountain and they don't think, gee, I think I want to climb that for no apparent reason. Some people do, but they don't represent the majority of the way the public thinks. But they're out there. So when these people yell out loud on the internet what they're doing and why it's so important, you need to understand who's yelling. They're not like us. Not like most of us. They don't seem to realize that. Let me justify to you what I'm doing. You don't have to justify to me what you're doing. You're not changing what I just said. There are some people like that. They're not representative of the average computer owners. And most computers are owned by regular people, not nerds, not geeks, just normal everyday people. Most people who drive cars are not mechanics, okay? So when you're on some forum and some guy's shouting about how he reprogrammed his ECU, that's his business. Regular people aren't interested. Regular people versus enthusiasts. That's an enthusiast behavior. It's not practical. It's not normal in the sense that it is not the behavior of the majority. It's not good or bad. It's different. And therefore, it probably does not apply to you, statistically speaking. That's all I said. All right, guys. So what I have to do, like I said, I'm going to run the utility and I'll have to do it while I'm offline because I don't want to broadcast the key. I know there's a key in there. I want to take a snapshot of it with my phone because the next thing I'm going to do is erase that key or find out a way to find out what's different with a little more research. And it's going to take a couple hours just because now this is completely a waste of time, by the way. I'm doing this to educate myself because I'm curious. I don't believe there's going to be any situation where I ever encounter this again. So I don't think that knowledge is going to benefit me in the future in the sense of, oh, I've got another motherboard that's doing this. It's possible, but it's unlikely because it's never happened before now, except on pre-builts like Dells and HPs where of course that's in there. And so, that's no big deal. You expect it. But I don't expect a board like this to have it. And if it can be put in, it can be taken out. If it can be locked, it can be unlocked. And if it can be closed, it can be opened. If man can build it, man can take it apart. That's the part that I'm intrigued of because so much of what I do is so routine that for me to get a genuine challenge that I just not exactly sure, as they forums said, there could have been multiple ways they integrated that key. There's not just one way to do it. And now I want to know which way they did it. And then I want to figure out how to undo it so that this board operates like any other gigabyte board that you would buy from an online reseller. And through that process, I'll have my answer and then I'll know. Now, if a customer was paying me to do this, no customer would pay for this. This would be over $1,000 in labor. So it doesn't make any sense. This is for personal gain from a technician's perspective. A normal, regular person wouldn't be going through all this effort. You would have simply returned the board back to the manufacturer. Like Patrick, he said he could have returned it back to Newegg. And that's what most people should have done. But because he didn't, and because I personally find it interesting, and I'm probably one of the very few people on earth that find this interesting, I'm going to pursue this off camera. And I don't know that I'll make any progress at all. It kind of depends how much time I have. This is not a high priority for me, but I wanted to get as much of it done live on camera as I could so that I could, if I found it, if I just stumbled on it, I'd capture it on camera, which would make a great video. In fact, I think what we've already done now is a pretty interesting video, just showing that old DOS style of BIOS flashing. Oh, by the way, the NUC still updates like that. Modern NUCs still, but they do it automatically. Anyway, I thought that was fun because it was a long time since I've done that. So it was kind of like visiting an old friend, my old DOS flash utility, booting from a flash drive to DOS. It's been over a decade, probably 2 decades since I ever did that. Let me just scroll through, see if I missed any contributions. Joseph Zinn's $5. He says, any chance you can use SLMGR in the command prompt? I just looked up this specific command to try for this, like /UPK. No, it's for uninstalling the product key. That's not what we're doing here. That's not, remember, I want to be able to boot from a Windows 10 installation media and have it offer me 10 Home or 10 Pro like it does on every board you see go through this channel, on every video I've ever done. Why is this one different and how did they get it that way? That's what I want to know. What you're talking about is after Windows is installed. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in actually fixing it, not in overrun. I want to do whatever I have to do so that Windows 10, without any manipulation of the Windows 10 installation files, installs the way it's supposed to install on every board I've ever used. It's a pretty simple process, right? So now if you have any suggestions to get me there, I appreciate it. But if your suggestions are just more Band-Aids and tape, no thank you. Russ Martin, the PC doctor, with $5. Carrie, couldn't we use a line editor or even Notepad to make changes to the BIOS file? Maybe. It apparently is not in the BIOS, Russ. We've already updated the BIOS, completely rewritten it, and the key's not in the writable area of the BIOS, but we don't know where it is. Patrick Roussos, $5. He says, hey, Uncle Kerry, thank you for your time and lessons we're getting from this weird puzzle. I can send you another board, hopefully with no bent pins. Is it going to have the same issue? Then I'm going to do a little research and figure out what system integrator was this board for. I'm happy to accept, if you want to send another one and it's supposedly the same thing, yeah, definitely. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you for essentially being the sponsor of today's video, Patrick Rusaw, without whom we wouldn't have today's content. Ron S. contributes $10. He goes, can you use a board with a bent pin? It depends which pin is bent. So the answer is definitely maybe not. We are on, what length of time have I been running here? Feels like it's been 3 days. I should probably eat. Oh, 3 hours and 15 minutes. That's probably why. All right, guys. Remember, I'm really super excited to be on Amazon Live. I'm going to try and go live, I don't know, maybe around midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't know, maybe. Please follow me on Amazon. The link below the video here in the show notes will take you to amazon.com/shop/Kerry Holzman. That's my Amazon store with all the stuff I use that I buy from Amazon. Please click the follow button there at Amazon. I'd love to see you in the Amazon Live chat room where we don't have so much of a crowd. The crowd's great, don't get me wrong, but it definitely changes the dynamic of how much attention I can spend with everybody. Carrie lives at Amazon. Yeah, can you imagine that electric bill? Yeah, so everybody, yeah, thank Patrick Russo for, he spent the time and the money and the effort, not only to send me the board, but that really cool DEC acoustic motor from 1983. I still don't know why it smells like Band-Aids. Stop smelling that. If you're ever in the market for an acoustic modem, you're living in the past. That's weird. It totally smells like Band-Aids, Patrick. Thanks you guys so much for watching. If you like content like this, you can hit that thumbs up button. And it tells the content creator, hey, make more like this. Actually, what it does is it tells YouTube, show me more like this. If you've not already, please hit the subscribe button here, and you can be alerted by turning the bell icon on after you subscribe. Anytime I go live or scheduled to go live or have posted new content. If you're looking for a legit legal Windows 10 or Office 2016 or Office 2019 that requires no Microsoft account, there are links in my video notes. They'll save you a ton of money. They're real, and I personally guarantee them. I'm not going to say the company doesn't sometimes make mistakes. If something isn't working the way it's supposed to, you contact the company and you let them know calmly. They will make it right. They have always made it right in the rare occasions when things haven't worked the way they're supposed to. If they don't, then you tell me and I'll give you your money back personally, or I will make it right. Okay? I don't know any other YouTube content creator that personally guarantees everything he or she is endorsing. As far as I know, I am the only one doing it. Everybody else just goes, well, we've been using these keys for years and never had a problem. Okay, so I guess I'll just take your word for it. If I'm recommending My Computer Works, which is all you can eat technical support, 1 month at a time with no contract for $39 a month, you call them with any question regarding your computer, your phone, your television, they will help you. They'll tutor you. You call them again and you can call them again and you can call them again. They love helping people. They have a way better attitude than me. They charge a $65 activation fee. But if you tell them you learned about them from Kerry Holzman, they'll waive the activation fee. And if you try them for technical help, you pay the $39, you get a month of all you can eat technical support that's US based. In fact, they're right down the road from where I'm broadcasting. They've been in business over 16 years. And if for any reason you're not satisfied, you tell them you want your money back. There's no risk on that either. If there was, I wouldn't endorse it. What are you doing to remember your passwords? Do you have a password manager? Is it a free one? Use RoboForm. You can always get 30% off. RoboForm's never had a data breach. RoboForm's never had an update that crashed a computer. It is the single best password manager. I've been using it for at least 15 years. And that's why I went and pursued them and said, would you please, sponsor my channel, offer my viewers a discount anytime. So roboform.com/carry. You're going to be happy with this product. If not, like if you download the trial, first of all, watch the videos I've done. If you don't know what I'm talking about, what a password manager is, once you figure it out, you're going to wonder how you've ever lived without it. And if for any reason it's not meeting your needs, you let them know. You buy your 1-year subscription, let's say, something upsets you. I can't imagine what, but some people, trust me, RoboForm would rather give you your $20 back than, you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't you? So there's no risk. There's no risk in any of it. I'm never gonna endorse anything where there's any risk unless I'm willing to use my own money to pay you back. Do you know of any other YouTube content creator that says anything other than take my word for it? Your word's worth nothing. Put your money where your mouth is. Let's hope some other YouTube content creators will follow my lead. In the meantime, even if you're not interested in the products that I love and promote here, at least you know I genuinely love them, I genuinely believe in them, and I put my money where my mouth is. So I hope you can at least respect that. Am I asking for too much? The support site that I talked about is mycomputerworks.com. I'm not quite sure if I said that. mycomputerworks.com. Maybe you don't need tech support, but your parents do, and you're tired of dealing with their phone calls. It's a great gift for you. So they'll leave you alone. Mom, Dad, call this number. Anytime you have a question, they'll help you. Carrie, that was the best gift I ever received. What gift is that? The gift that I gave to my parents. Wait, so the gift you gave to your parents was the best gift you ever received? Yes. mycomputerworks.com. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. And nice turnout in the chat room today. That's a lot of fun. Amazon.com/live if you want to check out some of the other content creators at Amazon. Nowhere near as big as YouTube. Much more intimate, smaller view numbers where you get to really interact back and forth with the content creators, which is so cool. It's the early days, you know? So get in when it's early. I will see you all again very soon. Remember, Friday at 1 o'clock, Mitch and I are back to continue that giant beast build. And I'll be making more content this week as time permits. Until next time, bye for now.